The current Zionist Satanist regime in the West is acting like the Ceausescu regime in Romania did just before it collapsed. They're increasing their repression, and they're trying very hard to create a totalitarian dictatorship before they themselves face war crimes trials. Here, for example, you can watch a clip of a Zionist saying openly they're going to use ICE to attack enemies of Israel inside the United States.
If 2 years ago, just go back 2 years ago, Israel was on its knees and its existence was in doubt, and the threats it faced seemed insurmountable. If I had predicted to you then any one of the miraculous things that have happened in the last 2 years, any one of them, pick one: Lebanon, Syria, Hamas, the hostages, Iran, and the U.S. involvement, any one of those things, you would have said that the stress of the moment drove me to delusion. And they all happened in 2 years. And so we are living in a time of miracles and unprecedented opportunities. And the challenge for us here, and with this I'll end because this is key, the challenge for us here is to leverage Israel's successes into our successes and our victories here, because we are one people. Israel's weakness is ours and Israel's strength is ours. And now that Israel has turned the entire geopolitical situation on its head, our job in the diaspora is to leverage those wins and win here. Do to our enemies here what Israel did to its enemies there, and on that, the IAC is focused.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
That is a foreign invasion. Okay, that is a threat to the United States and to all patriots. They're going to use Israeli self-defense forces covered with masks, pretending to be cracking down on foreign criminals as an excuse to arrest patriots. They have been shutting down lots and lots of alternative news sites. The censorship is as heavy as I've seen it, and are continuing. But we are fighting back. For example, the French military have offered a $250,000 reward for anyone who can provide the location of the assassins who were sent to go after Candace Owens. All they need is the location. They'll take care of the rest. We're also putting out bounties on people like Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, all of these people. And there is a hunt going on. In the EU, the anti-corruption investigation run by the U.S. military that has forced the Zelensky regime to flee abroad has now led to the arrest of 3 top EU government officials. And this trail is gonna follow the hundreds of billions of dollars in taxpayer money that was supposed to go to Ukraine, but ended up going for political bribes in the West. So these people are scared, they're dangerous, and they're going to try everything possible to avoid war crimes. Now, the other thing is that Jean-Michel de Rothschild, known to us as Brigitte Macron, just visited China and after arriving, they were told they had to leave within 24 hours because the reason for the visit was not what they were told. They came to ask for gold and for continued support of their genocide in the Ukraine. The Chinese were furious and told them to leave, at least according to my P3 sources, who had someone with the French delegation. So I'll post a picture on Monday of Macron or Brigitte Michel de Rothschild showing that this she looks very miserable. But that is our number one enemy. We've got to get this person and remove them. But the other thing we need to realize is that most of the leaders we're seeing have been compromised. Watch this clip of Kash Patel, the FBI director, 2 years ago, saying that the entire Epstein list had to be released.
You know, it's the same thing with Epstein's list. It's like, what the hell are these Republicans doing? Oh,
I saw you
give out the list.
I saw you make news this morning about that. I got to get to that.
Yeah.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list? And why is it that the Senate, and good for Senator Blackburn to try to get it out, but then Dick Durbin comes over the top and says, no, we're not going to release the names. I don't care about the list itself, but if you release the names, right? What the hell are the House Republicans doing? They have the majority. You can't get the list? You're going to accept Dick Durbin's word or whoever that guy is as to who is on that list and who isn't, and that it can and can't be released? Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. We have an election coming up, and we need to adjudicate this matter at the polls. God knows the FBI and DOJ aren't going to do anything. But how are you going to reward the FBI with a new headquarters building after their illegal surveillance on Donald Trump continues with a reauthorization of FISA, and we can't even get basic documents out? This is why America hates Congress. And this is why I'm tired of the Republican majority saying they're going to get the job done and failing.
Now, Kash Patel is saying that there is no such list. So there's several possibilities. One is that they have some sort of compromise on him, and he has no choice but to go along with the new agenda. The other is that the Kash Patel we're seeing is a fake, and the real man is gone. Either way, he has been compromised. Now, the other big battle, and this is the key one, is Pete Hegseth, the so-called Minister of War. He has been caught openly engaged in war crimes. People who were in no position to fight against U.S. war crimes laws. That means the entire chain of command that was involved in that crime needs to be legally removed. This is important because, and it's important that we fight back as hard as we can. This is the key time. Now, we've got more evidence that they have run out of gold. They're not going to be able to make their payments in January. The Italian government is just trying to confiscate all the gold in Italy from the Italian people because they understand that they need gold in order to stay in business, and we don't want to keep these people in business. Another example of just how decadent the United States has become, a recent survey shows that 98% of U.S. diplomats are demoralized. They realize that the government they serve is no longer American, and it no longer serves international law or American interests. It's become a kind of a spokesgroup for an increasingly erratic band of criminals. So this battle is going to continue on, I think, through the new year. Another key, we need to get rid of Keir Starmer in the UK. That would unblock a lot. But also Brigitte Macron has to be removed. Friedrich Merz has to be removed. But we need to understand that right now, look at Nick Fuentes describe what our current regime thinks of as enemies.
Universe are Canada, France, the United Kingdom, Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Malta, Slovenia, Poland, Norway. In what world are all of these countries our enemies and Israel's our ally? We're supposed to believe all of Europe and Canada and the whole rest of the world are all evil, left-wing, third-worldist. Israel is right-wing and nationalist and our true closest ally. In what universe does that even make any sense? We're going against Canada, France, and the UK to support this abomination that didn't even exist 100 years ago.
So basically, longtime allies like Canada are now enemies because they no longer support the genocidal regime in Israel. That should tell you all you need to know. We're going to have to carry this fight right down to the end, but we're definitely going to win this, and everybody needs to do their part. I know the horror show with the fake Trump who replaced the real one is still there, but you can see the news every day about how he has to be removed, how he's falling asleep in press conferences, how he's saying crazy things. It's clear their avatar is losing the plot. He's losing his mind. So hang in there, folks. We're really close to victory. The other thing, please remember that the current economic system is no longer functioning. Right now, people who work in the retail sector earn only half of what they need just to pay rent. That's not how a system should work. And all this money that's being spent on these super AI investments, like they're saying they're going to invest $8 trillion in AI, and yet ChatGPT is losing like $140 billion, and they need $800 billion in profits just to pay the interest on the debt. So the whole thing is broken. And remember, the white hats, we're standing by. We're ready to provide money enough to cover a complete jubilee, a cancellation of all debt, public and private, and then a redistribution of all the money that was stolen through central bank fraud. This is what we're offering. And the people who are blocking it are the Rothschild family, the controllers of the current system. And that's why we need to go after them and remove them from all positions of control in the financial industry, starting with Jean-Michel de Rothschild, known to us as Brigitte Macron. Get that cross-dressing criminal. That should help a lot. We also need to go after Pete Hegseth, who's now publicly a war criminal. And the fake Cash Patel or the compromised Cash Patel has to be removed. Again, it's these top people need to be removed. And the French, Steve Witkoff, all of these Zionists, screaming for Israel and against the American people. We need to hunt them down. This is no joke, folks. We all need to fight, but we're getting close. And the key is to identify all the fake supporters of Israel versus their actual countries. And it is happening. The U.S. military, white hats, their investigation into the corruption in Ukraine determined locations to be killed by artillery fire. They enslaved Ukrainian women and put them into childbirth factories so they could have children for the adrenochrome trade. These are not normal people. These are not normal crimes. And they have to be taken down by like rabid dogs. There's no other choice. And everybody in a position to fight, to take action, you must do this. This is a life or death situation. We're close to the end game, but humanity will win this. I promise you. Okay, that's what I have to say for myself today. Now I'd like to answer questions from readers and viewers.
Hi, Ben. We have our first question for today. As of a couple of weeks ago, the United States Mint finally retired the penny as it costs almost 4 cents to make, a 400% loss. What does this indicate for the direction of the economy?
Well, it indicates that the financial system is no longer tied to reality. It used to be a penny was worth a penny because it contained copper, and now you take these pennies and you melt them down and sell them because you can get more than a cent's worth out of them. That shows you that the all this creation of money out of nothing has completely lost touch with the real world, and that's why the system is collapsing. Next question.
Hi, Ben. This week, we've seen massive stock sell-offs from billionaires, specifically Warren Buffett, dumping his stocks at an alarming rate and claiming the market is extremely overvalued. This is typical of the insider dumps we see before a major crash 18 to 24 months later. Do you expect this to be the case?
Well, the stock market has been way out of touch with traditional measures of value for a very long time, especially the Magnificent Seven and all that. What's been happening is the Khazarian mafia, their money printing machine is not, they can't use it to buy oil, they can't use it to buy products from China, but they can use it to pump up the stock market and then recycle it into the economy through there. But that's reaching the point where it's no longer working. As I mentioned, for example, with the AI investments, ChatGPT is losing like $140 billion, and yet they need to earn about $800 billion to pay for the investment in infrastructure. The whole thing is collapsing. And if I were anybody who owns stocks, I would immediately sell and buy something that actually physically exists. Gold, silver, a car, a house, anything that's real. Next question.
Hi, Ben. I don't understand it. Maybe you can do a video in front of a blackboard at some point where you can draw this out for all of us. Why would the USA need bailing out? It prints its own money, so its own Shylock, and can forgive debts on its own. It does not need China, and for sure China has no money left in the bank to lend anything. Gold prices going up means less gold required to sponge up more debt, and the gold buyers will be the ones to pay for it as the price drops. to its regular nothingness. You always sound like China's the answer, but it looks to me like it's a total mess, surrounded by enemies with friendly faces, and hat color will not change that. Hold them in bondage, they control everything, and they are the ones who are supposed to help us. That just sounds less and less feasible, and to be honest, not very desirable from freedom-loving people. What's your opinion on this?
Well, first of all, the United States cannot just print money because the rest of the world is no longer accepting it. Okay, what you need to understand is that all the dollars that were earned by other countries around the world are being separated from new dollars that are being created in the United States. They cannot use that to buy stuff from other countries. It's just not working. Now, the other thing is that uh, I've always said if we don't want to become Chinese slaves or work for the Chinese Communist Party, we need to improve our system of economic management. Right now, China has money because they have factories that build physical things that actually exist, sell them to the rest of the world. You know, they put them in boats, they ship them over. They don't just put money in bank computers and have a giant casino. And the only way we're going to not be Chinese slaves is if we uh, return control of the monetary system to the elected representatives of the people and set up a meritocratically staffed future planning agency. In other words, the Western people need to once again be able to decide what sort of future they want instead of being herded towards some kind of Armageddon scenario by these messianic fanatics who took over our financial system. So no, I don't want us to be Chinese slaves. But the fact is that unless we improve our economic system, that is what's going to happen because they control the real world, whereas the Western economic system is increasingly a giant financial hallucination. Next question.
Hi, Ben. The transition to digital prison is accelerating in both the EU and America. AI and robots are clearly going to eliminate a huge number of jobs. The EU is going to try and implement a digital ID in the coming year, as well as a digital euro. America is going CBDC via stablecoin and digital ID via corporate proxies like Apple. Trump, or his doppelganger, just signed off on the Genesis mission, which will accelerate AI enslavement. Tokenization of everything, including humans, including digital twins, is coming fast as well. All this digital stuff needs to be treated like the weapon of mass destruction that it is and made illegal or highly regulated. If the so-called white hats and the Dragon family can't step in now and stop it, we are headed for a transhuman dystopia that will not be worth living in.
I agree with you, and a lot of people are fighting against this digital ID, and laws in Europe that were planned have been stopped by activists. We need to support groups like Citizen Go, who are actually there uh, on, in the locations where they're trying to pass these laws, and at the same time, we need the military to get off its dumb ass and do their duty, which is to support the Constitution and obey the law and start arresting these people who are trying to put us in a digital prison. But the one thing that you don't need to worry about digital is that it's not real. Okay, it's not physical, and they will never ever control the physical world because it's not real. Okay, it doesn't exist. It's just in our minds. The physical world is real. You're sitting in it, and that will always win at the end of the day because that's connected directly to the creator. Next question.
Hi, Ben. We have our last question for today. I looked at pictures of, quote, Trump with the soccer player the past couple of days. He seems to be the tall Trump. Perhaps he comes out for public holidays and other symbolic appearances. Let me know your thoughts on that. Do the generals who invited Trump to run around 2012 know or think they're still dealing with a substitute Trump? What's the source date of the 1989 helicopter crash? The multiple Trumps and Biden stories is still relatively unresolved. Who do you think, if anyone, has the actual truth? Your own version has several variants. The 1989 reference is inconsistent with the more recent versions. Example that Trump was disappeared in June. I can buy that the original Trump was substituted years ago, but I can't buy that the multiple Trumps are being managed by separate forces for now and somehow collaborating together or organizing their appearances together. I could buy that the bad guys are maybe messing with the real Trump's head with various mind control weapons, including drugs and EM waves. But again, the idea that multiple Trumps from different factions are making appearances at the same time and neither faction calling out the other seems relatively inconsistent to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, you need to use your own eyes and compare the pictures and the videos of the different Trumps. You can see that one of them is 190 centimeters tall and he appears with Melania. The other one is only 170 centimeters tall, and you can see that by comparing the heights of who they're standing next to. The other thing is that the short Trump is always completely subservient to Israel, whereas the tall Trump has been critical of Israel. My understanding is that the white hats, the original 190 centimeter tall Trump, who has not been seen since June, is still missing in action, but the white hats have come up with a new Trump to represent their faction in the power struggle. What you need to understand is that the president of the United States is like a symbol of government power. And so different people are fighting over that symbol. I know it's very confusing, but use your own eyes, compare what they say, compare what they do, compare what they look like. As far as the 1989 helicopter crash is concerned, just look at the pictures of before and after of Trump, and you can see it's two different people. I know it's very confusing, but at the end of the day, I think the white hats need to take direct action and arrest all the fake Trumps. And the fact that they cannot do so means that they're still not, the battle's still not over. But for me, instead of going after the actors, it's better to go after the people behind the scenes like Jean-Michel de Rothschild. Remove them, and this should be game over. Okay, well, that's what I have to say for myself this week, and I hope to see you again next week.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So, Tina Peters, pardoned by President Trump. Did you really think she was going to be released right away? Absolutely not. This is a corrupt government in Colorado, the same government that tried to get Trump kicked off the ballot, that voted all of them to kick Trump off the ballot for president. And then the Supreme Court had to come in and say, no, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. So they're basically going unconstitutional again, guys, right? And they're going to get spanked. So this is what Juan O'Savin sent me. He says, new info on Tina Peters. If you haven't heard, President Trump issued a pardon for Tina Peters yesterday. That's the good news. The bad news is that Colorado Governor Polis has made it clear that he will not allow federal intervention into a Colorado state case, and he's not letting Tina out. So let me read on. I need to send that man a lot of love, and we'll see what happens to him. All right. What is not widely understood is that this was fully anticipated and researched. President Trump, and that's one of the reasons why this took as much time as it did, guys. Because a lot of people were saying, why is it taking so long? Why doesn't he just pardon her? As you've seen with James Comey and what's that other Alicia, whatever, the New York DA that prosecuted Alicia Brown, whatever her name is. So she basically they've gone up 3 times against her, and she's gotten off every time. So they really have to have their ducks in a row. Everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, it gets thrown out. And it's probably going to get thrown out anyway, but if they have a lot of stuff behind them, they can really take it down. Now, you guys also know that I've talked about how Denver Airport has underground DUMBs. And there's been a lot of stuff that's been revealed about how those are being taken down. So you don't know a bigger picture always, guys. There could have been some activity, which I've heard there has been, of taking down one of the last maglev trains that the deep state had under Denver. So be that whatever it is, if that's even part of this, I don't know. But you got to look at bigger pictures. And I know there's bigger pictures. I used to see them when I was in the CIA, when I was in the SEAL teams and SEAL Team 6 and whatever. But there's a lot more moving parts always to everything that goes on when it's on this level. All right. Lots of moving parts. All right. So he goes on to say, what is not widely understood is that this was fully anticipated and researched. President Trump is on very solid ground on multiple bases, and multiple attorneys have vetted the process ahead. So here's what I would say to everybody. Keep it simple. Federal law was broken by Colorado on multiple levels, guys. Judgment, and they have the evidence, and they've been documenting this, and there's a lot of people going to go down in Colorado. So that's why there's like timing. Sometimes you don't activate the mission before it's ready to be activated. Otherwise, people can get out of the ambush. All right, when you finally cook off the ambush, you want everybody to go down. So that's what's coming. Judge Matthew Barrett refused to let the jury hear her defense. Federal law requires the evidence to be preserved. 41 motions were denied. The jury never got to hear the truth. Mesa County Clerk Peters is the only clerk in the state of Colorado that preserved proof of Secretary of State Jenna Griswold's authorization of the deletion of state and federal election records illegally. Dominion Vote Systems did the deleting in violation of their contracts, both state and federal. So you see how many laws have been broken by how many people? It's a lot. So you have to have it all documented, have to have it all ready. So when you finally spring the ambush, everybody no one escapes the fire, right? You got the claymores going off, you got the automatic weapons going off, you got the RPGs going in. Everybody goes down. All right. And this is what's coming, guys. 1, President Trump is about to research a federal authority concerning pardons that existed prior to Lincoln. So I've said this before, how I said that we are in a very similar situation, Trump and Lincoln, right now, on many different levels. All right. We have a Civil War level, a lot of Civil War level events that didn't get resolution back during the Civil War, guys, and now they're coming to a head again, and they're going to have to be dealt with, right? So, when they kill President staff and so forth, there's probably some other people that died or were coerced or so forth in President Lincoln's administration. They stopped a lot of things that should have gone forward and had resolution with the criminal activity that happened in the South, right? So they broke federal law in the South, right? And they're breaking federal law now in a lot of these different states, right? It has to be resolved, guys. Just like a previous court was wrong about Roe versus Wade. So Roe versus Wade went on for how long before it was overturned? Like 40, 50 years? How long was it? A long time. So it was wrong. So somebody got the cojones or whatever, and they got the legal backing to basically take down Roe versus Wade, and it was false. The states have been wrong for 150 years on presidential pardon authority. So you can see you really have to have a lot of stuff lined up before you go in and start throwing down the hammer, guys. That is about to be challenged hard. And Trump will easily win, just like he did when Colorado courts unanimously worked to remove him from the ballot, and the Supreme Court unanimously trounced the Colorado courts and put Trump on the ballot for presidency. 2, the clerk manages, collects, tabulates, reports, and this is Tina Peters, protects election data for the U.S. House of Representatives under federal authority in a federal election, which when you are voting for president, for people that are president, that's federal election. So Tina Peters was collecting all this information, and they were telling her to delete it, and so she didn't delete it, and that's why she's in prison. This has been forgotten and overwritten over time. Now it's time to be revisited. 3, Trump is going to declare a national emergency concerning elections. Now, Juan was on my show a couple days ago. Many of you have watched it. If you haven't watched it yet, go and watch that. He goes into detail about that. So he's going to declare a national emergency concerning elections. When he does, and this is basically outlining it very, very simply, he will also exercise authority over every aspect of the election process, and no court will have authority to challenge his elections when within the context of that national emergency, dark to light. At that moment, he can/will take physical custody of Tina as an expert and can even make her an election czar when her health is stabilized. For extra credit, Tina can assist and will be a witness whistleblower concerning prison conditions and failures in a Colorado prison system. That is also now an active federal investigation. So it's a federal penitentiary, I guess. So federal investigation on very bad things they did in that prison and very bad things they did to Tina in that prison. Finally, remember the Justice Department's investigations concerning vote fraud in Colorado became criminal investigations 6 months ago. So they've been collecting information and evidence and about ready to throw down on Colorado, guys. So you guys that have been waiting for Colorado to get spanked, it looks like it's coming, all right? And it won't be hand spank. Not going to be a hand spank. That's not an earthquake. It may have started as chest pounding by the governor and other state officials, but soon it's going to be knees knocking in the Capitol buildings of Colorado. Lastly, you will see that just as I said, silver prices are up radically. Okay, so he's pushing silver stuff. Silver, yes. So this is one of the things that Juan comes out with. If you're subscribed to him or have gotten some of his silver, which I have quite a bit of, way early on, and now it's worth a lot of money. All right, so very, very good info. Juan brings it. It's always good to have him come in and give us the insights. Now, how many people thought that Tina? Now, I saw when he pardoned Tina that it would be, all right, be observant. Don't jump out there. All right, don't jump out there. There's nothing more that you can say now because they're not gonna free her. So a lot of you guys, I saw it online. Millions of people were like, Tina Peters is free. No, she's not free till she's out of that prison, guys. So there's more to go through. So it could go it's probably going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And how long is that going to take? I don't know. We're getting close to Christmas. I mean, this could be ridiculous, but I think it could be resolved fairly quickly within a few days, I hope. Sometime next week is my best guess that this is going to get resolved. Because no one wants to, push this past the holidays. They want to get this resolved, get her medical care that she needs for her lung and so forth. So I think it's going to be, Crenshaw equals Eye Patch McCain. That's a whole nother story. Eye Patch McCain. Yes, that's very good. So I've been calling him out for a long time. And so, Mike, what's your opinion on Crenshaw threatening? I don't think it was a threat. He was just saying there was, some guys at SEAL Team 6, maybe, I don't know. But I don't think guys at SEAL Team 6, because I was at SEAL Team 6, are going to have a problem with Sean Ryan. If the guys at SEAL Team 6 are smart and know what's going on, they're going to have a problem with Crenshaw, all right? Because he's a bad foe, right? Needs to go bye-bye. Texas needs to vote that bad little boy out of there. All right. So I've talked about this for a long time. I'm not going to go into detail about Crenshaw, Eye Patch McCain. I've done many shows about him. Other people have done many shows about him. If you still are clueless about Eye Patch McCain, go back and see some of the shows. He's a bad mofo. He should not be. He has gone against Trump. He has done some very bad things. You're like, what, Mike? It's like, come on. Sometimes it's like my kids. Why? I just told you. It's like you can't have it because you're gonna like get all hyper. You're not gonna have candy before dinner, and you're not gonna have candy before bed. Why? So do a little research on that. You'll find out that Eye Patch McCain I can't believe he's still there. Well, we know why he's probably still there, because there's election fraud, all right? And he was chosen to be in that position. So it makes you go, because I've said this, there are some bad SEAL types out there, right? And there's a bad SEAL organization. So you have to be aware of all of this. There's good, there's bad. Crenshaw is part of the bad, right? And if you support that, you support that. There's a lot of people that I've called out that people still support, and it's like, I followed you until you like this guy, and I was like, I'm like a military expert beyond belief, all right? And if I call somebody out, do a little research. Do a little research on your own, and if you can't do a little research, then fine, I'm a bad guy. So that's kind of the way it is. All right, so moving back over to because there's a lot of, to me, that is like so sophomoric. It's so low on the totem pole for what's going on. Dan Crenshaw should have been gone long ago. He's still there. He's still making millions of dollars every year, and he only makes $150,000 a year. I don't know whatever hell he makes. I've met the guy. I can tell you that I got a super bad vibe from him. And he came to an event back when we had, the COVID nonsense, and everybody's wearing masks. I wasn't wearing a mask. Everybody backstage at the event that I was doing free, me and other military veterans were doing free, pretty much security for. And so he walks up, and I introduced myself, said I was former Navy SEAL, blah, blah, blah. And he couldn't wait to get away from me. That is not normal. I come up on other SEAL bros, and it's like old school, even if I don't know them, right? And he was embarrassed. That's very suspect. All of you should be going, red flag, red flag, red flag. All right. So he's going up to speak. He doesn't have a mask on. And before he goes out, he puts his friggin' mask on to go out onto the stage to speak, like he's been wearing it all the time. And then when he comes off the stage, takes the mask off, and then he leaves. Yeah, come on. So I was like, wow. All right. Opinion, way low. So, and then he started doing some other stuff that was very, very bad. All right. Not helping a teammate out. And that's kind of what we look for. So yeah, Tina Peters, will Delta Force have to go in and free her? All right. Because it's turning into be a federal operation here pretty soon. Just like when I was in Panama invasion. I watched the Delta guys practice over and over several times a week. And then they went in and got Kurt Buse out of the Panama prison because he was doing free speech in the radio broadcast. And Noriega was like, no, you can't, tell people what I'm really about. So he put him in prison. And so we went and got him. Delta guys did, right? So is that going to happen for Tina Peters? I don't know. What do you think, Lewis? Is Tina Peters going to be freed by Delta SEAL Team 6 guys?
I think it's likely, actually, that something like that's going to happen, because we have to figure this out. And it's so funny because within an hour of President Trump posting his truth that said he pardoned her, my immediate post was, well, we'll see if they're even going to release her, because you have corrupt judges that are probably going to intervene at minimum. So I love Tina. You know, I've been working in the background on that case, not in public for a long time. I had no, not even an inkling of a thought that they would comply and release her. That wasn't even a thought process. I think this is a process. I frankly wish President Trump would have enacted this process earlier, because I know the deteriorating health of what Tina's going through in prison, and her conditions, and how cold it is, and that she doesn't have enough blankets, and she's coughing up blood, it looks like. So these are all very big concerns. That being said, what I think people are missing, and there's a lot of conservatives, and I don't know if they're fake news conservatives or what, which we can address later in this, but there's a lot of conservatives right now that are saying there's no way this is going to happen. And I would just say, okay, let's step back a second. Is election fraud a federal issue with constitutional ramifications? The answer is 100% yes.
Yep.
And this is clear election fraud or election tampering at minimum, right? So that does give, at minimum, and this is what I don't understand. I put this code out before. I think she should have been considered a whistleblower and been yanked out of there a long time ago.
Good point.
That was my advice, but I'm just a dumb white hick from California running for governor, right? But that was what I was thinking, is because there are whistleblower protection laws where you could. It was only the AG, which I do not trust, or the FBI could issue an order saying she's a whistleblower, and they could have gone themselves and picked her up from prison and brought her into even federal custody if they wanted to, right? So none of that happened. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but what I will say.
Well, let me add a little bit to that. So we know that when Trump came in, he had to bring in other people to the FBI because it was so corrupt. So that could be one of the issues. They had to get their ducks in a row, get people out of the way that were going to be resistant and so forth. I'm sure there's still resistance, but this goes all the way back to Abraham Lincoln, constitutional rights of the president. And it's going to, I think they had to really get their ducks in a row, because once they moved, there's a lot of different dominoes that are going to start to fall right now.
Yep, I agree. And this is a process. So I don't pretend to know what President Trump and his team knows. I just know there's an ailing 70-year-old Gold Star grandmother that maybe only has a few days left under those conditions. So that's a major concern for mine. Now, in regards to going in there, I believe we have everything that we would need to send Delta Force in there and take care of business. Now, I will say, if we're going to send Delta Force in to get Tina, you need to go pick up Jenna Griswold and all her cronies the exact same day.
Yeah, that's not that won't be Delta Force doing that unless they're going to take her out. But
right,
already
true.
Convicted. I don't think we need to do that yet. But I agree. She should be picked up, and maybe that's part of what this is all about. They're going to do in one fell swoop. Gather a lot of these people up. I doubt it. I think it's going to be a hard-won battle just to get her released, get her out of there, and maybe Marines or Delta Force or whatever shows up to escort her out of the prison, because they're not going to release her. It's they'll show up and you're like, you are. Are you going to resist? Because we're going in to get her, and I think that's where this could potentially go.
Well, and think about who would resist. And this is what I'm trying to educate. See, my campaign is about education, and it's gaining a lot of traction. I'm happy to say that we were ranked 14th conservative going in a month ago, and now we're about 3. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
right.
Good job.
There's a dispute that if we're 3rd behind Hilton and Bianco, or if we're 5th. But regardless, we're in the top 5 easily right now. That's pretty awesome. So, but what I've said is I've asked everybody that supported me or paying attention to understand that this is an education process. And it is, because we are not the standard political campaign. We're educating people to what's really going on in the background. I can tell you this probably has something to do with senior executive services, also controlling and puppeteering and everything. So
absolutely.
With the education going on in the background, we have to understand that there's a different way that things are going to be handled. In regards to Tina, I would love to see every real conservative that understands this story soon show up at the doorstep of the jail, right? If we have to, and demand her release. We the people need to step up. January 20th, 2017, President Trump said he handed it back to we the people. Let's have a reality check. We did not take the ball and run with it when he did that. Some of us did. I traveled the country. I did a whole bunch of stuff, right? My wife is definitely stepping up. You're stepping up. People are stepping up, but not everybody's stepping up. But here's the thing we have to understand. This is part of the education process. So you may have a state prison, but you do not have the government running it. You have contractors running it. Now let's think back to Cheney type contractors, right? Deep state contractors that you're very familiar with, right? Running the show. So the question is, if Delta Force goes in there or somebody else, are they going to resist? Because I liken these type of contractors closer to mercenaries. And this is just based on my historical studies. And if anybody can dispute this, is generally mercenaries don't fight as hard as American trained personnel, because they are only fighting for money, where we're fighting for life, liberty, principle, and for our country. So I have, based on my studies, one of the advantages we have other than training.
Yeah, the contractors, like you said, it's for hire. So I worked directly for the CIA. I was a direct hire contractor. So the CIA, almost everybody that works for the CIA is a contractor, right? So that's just that gives them deniability and all kind of crazy stuff, and so that's the way that works. So I'm working for the federal government, but yeah, I agree with you. There were a lot of contractors out there when I worked for Blackwater. As a contractor, I was again working for the State Department, but there were groups that worked for other groups, like who's the one that was doing the contracting? He was just, I guess I don't know. So
we'll call him Blacker than Blackwater.
What's that?
We'll call him Blacker than Blackwater.
Blacker than Blackwater, yeah. So those guys that work for other groups were essentially mercenaries, like you talk about. And those guys died, unfortunately, in very, very large numbers because they didn't have the backing of the U.S. government. They didn't have the support systems and so forth, like the Marines would show up to help, or helicopter support, or CIA. When I was working for CIA, they had like unbelievable, groups and so forth. Dick Cheney. So Dick Cheney, his what was that?
Halliburton.
That's right. So guys who were working for Halliburton died in pretty significant numbers. So they were basically contractors, and for Halliburton, and they didn't have the support system, and they died in massive numbers. So when you look at the prison system, it's like they're working for the federal government, but they're not. They're working for a private company that's working for the federal government. So how dedicated are those guys? And that's an excellent question to ask. I would say probably not so much. If federal troops show up, they're going to step aside right away.
Right.
They're not going to resist. But you will at some point, I believe, like we've talked about in some of these cities, you will have resistance.
Yeah. Now, I would suggest, let's go along with the theory that you'll have a special force operation show up. And I would suggest that you would not see this until the SCOTUS ruling, because I believe President Trump has mentioned several times how he's trying to do this lawfully and legally,
right?
Because he doesn't want the pushback. So I believe they're going to fast track this to SCOTUS, because exactly what's going to happen with these corrupt judges, and they're going to have to go there. Okay, now we go to an appellate court. I think they're going to fast track it to SCOTUS, which they have standing to do based on Tina's health. So If they fast track this to SCOTUS, and SCOTUS rules that President Trump's authority holds up here, and then they refuse to release them, that's when I would suggest you would probably see the military come in.
Completely agree. So that they'll give them the warning. All right. So SCOTUS Supreme Court of the United States has basically told you guys you're out of line. This is constitutional. President Trump has authority to. It's not state. It's a federal issue. The voting, because it was a federal election. The President of the United States, federal, and she saw some things, and you decided to throw her in prison, and you're wrong. He just gave her pardon, so it's time for you to release her. And SCOTUS just said, no, you're wrong, in saying that it's a state level thing. Just like you said, tried to say it was a state level thing that you weren't going to allow President Trump on the ballot. SCOTUS came along and said, no, you will, and you did. So here we are in the same situation once again. What say you? And then we'll see. She should be on the sidewalk within hours of that or less. And if she's not, then some people are going to show up and get her out of there.
Right. So I believe if let's say that both sides of government, the feds and the state, were acting honorably, but they had a dispute. If that was happening, even if the state disagreed, they would release her pending an investigation and their own appeals in regards to this, to see if they could overturn the pardon. That's if both the feds and the state were really having the best interest of the United States. Even if they disagreed based on her health, because there's also other reasons you can release her just based on her health. There's statutes that you can put her on an ankle bracelet and release her into doctor's care at minimum. So, but the reality is the state is not operating in good faith, which tells me, and I don't have to be a conservative to know this, that there's a cover up here.
Yeah. And they know that once she's out, then they're going to get all the stuff they've been trying to cover up and suppress is going to get blown out of the water.
Yeah, she's the keystone to election fraud. Think about that. She is the keystone. You pull that keystone out, right? That's holding everything together for the deep state parasites, and everything falls. When I say everything, I mean I'll go as far as we're probably going to have 0 point energy in our backyard.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's go. I mean, behind you is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I mean, you follow that and you talk about that quite a bit. So you have that understanding. I've read that book over and over again as well. And I've been in combat, and I can tell you that we're pretty much, there's bullets and bombs going off, but everything else concerned with combat is happening right now. The posturing and everything that goes along with it. For me, it's exciting because I understand this. I'm not intimidated by it whatsoever. We're getting down to the point where you're gonna do this, or we're gonna come do this, right? And that's that. Once that line is crossed, where federal troops come in and they're claiming, oh, we're state sovereign, blah blah blah, and no, you're not, and you're basically trying to. Just like in, the Confederate States during the Civil War, you're trying to go against the federal government. You're trying to become an outlaw, a separate state from, and we're not going to allow that. And so we're going to come in and why? Because there's a lot of people in Colorado that don't like you at all and don't believe probably you got voted in. And that's why Tina's in prison. So there's all of that is coming to a head, and it's probably coming to a head for, your state, for California. If this happens in Colorado, like I said, we're looking dominoes happen around the country.
Well, I already know there's investigations into a Texas prison, a Colorado prison, a New York prison, and I think 2 prisons in California that are being investigated and audited right now for mistreatment of prisoners who would be political prisoners. I'm going to say probably, i.e. Robert Young would be one as well. Absolutely.
And there's been many of us have talked about him, and that's just another thing that is one of their manipulation things, executive services and all that stuff. So it goes all the way back to Nazi Germany, really. So, you're going up against a very corrupt and some of the people that are at the top positions that you're up against. Quite frankly, there's no one that come close to you. And I think the people, once they see that, then those other people that are posturing and won't come to debates and so forth are probably going to be pushed out very quickly.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a reckoning on January 10th, because I'm in a debate with there's just 5 of us, and think about this. There's a Daniel Mercury, David Serpa. By the way, I'm going to publicly say both good guys. I think they have the right intentions. I think my negotiating skills, my will, and my solutions are a bit better than theirs, but they're both good guys and have great intentions, in my opinion.
Very good.
And then you have Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, who are the pick of the establishment, right?
Exactly.
So we have 5 of us in that debate. That's going to be fascinating. And we'll see if there's a no-show. Because I'm going to say publicly right here, 5 months ago, I put on my website, and you probably remembered, that we're going to eliminate taxes, income, state taxes, and property taxes in the state of California. Bianco just mentioned that he's going to do that. So let's see his plan, because it's interesting. Took 5 months for him to do that after I already had it on my website. I also said I'm going to have a website called exposure.ca.gov, only we're going to host it before then, which we've been building. It's an extensive website. It'll be a place for whistleblowers and get the information out. And what did Hilton just do this week? He released a whistleblower site. His is, I would be scared to enter anything in there, because it's like, we'll protect your information, don't worry about it. They're not going to post it. They're not going to do anything with it.
He's not in a position to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, they can completely bury it, right? So I would say, if you're a whistleblower, I had to be careful. If you truly want to get information out, you'll be able to go to my site soon, and we'll actually post the information that you're talking about, which will actually do something and protect you. But my point is, if I was such a nobody, why are they using the same solutions that I posted?
It's a high appeal. People are like, holy moly, he's going to do that. And so they know there's a big appeal about that. And so they're trying to get their 2 cents in there too. Right. Now, why didn't Chad Bianco come to the debate that you were at just recently?
Well, I'm going to give 2 sides to that story. In fact, in the film that I'm producing right now, which is going to release Wednesday, I go into that a little bit, okay? Which I think you guys are going to love the film. But so what it is supposedly Kim Yater had a conversation with them. They said they were going to go, and then they couldn't. And then Kim rescheduled the whole event around Chad Bianco. Now, and then she mentioned that Bianco's take is different, that he never was going to go there, right? So I'm going to let that play out. What I'm suggesting that both of them do, I would say, if I was Kim Yater or if I was Chad, with the information, that'll take care of that right there, and just say, here's the correspondence, here's what we have. Neither of them have done it at this moment, but that would put a stop to this immediately. It's very interesting dynamic with Hilton and Bianco, right? Which I go through. This is one of many things I go through in this film, so we can show how we are actually being played by a conservative fake news media that people think is on our side, but it's not. Because if I'm going to use Fox News as an example, but they're not the only one. There's a lot of podcasters out there. There's a bunch of controlled opposition, Facebook and X accounts. There's all the other medias. We have to scrutinize OAN, Gateway Pundit. We have Newsmax, Blaze. We have to scrutinize all of them, because here's something that really got me to do this. I noticed almost unilaterally, I can find so many of those quotes from Noam Chomsky, from Sigmund Freud's nephew. Plato 25 years ago said this is how you can control a population. It's called an illusion of choice, which, by the way, the CIA and the KGB mastered the illusion of choice. Absolutely mastered this. And they ran it in elections all over the world for 4 to 5 decades before now.
So yeah, here you are. You have the psyop of silence, exposing fake news conservative. and that's Hilton's probably one of those. I would absolutely have money to bet on that if there was a bet on that. So tell us another production you have. Even while you're running for governor, you have time to do this. Is absolutely amazing. So good job.
I don't think I have time to do it. I'm just doing it.
Exactly.
It's just, you know what? It's a God thing. I was sleeping one night and I'm like, part of it started out personal. I have to be authentic about that. Is I'm like, how could I do a debate on November 8th with Steve Hilton, somebody that was in all the conservative news media virtually every day, yet when it comes to him doing a debate, none of the media is talking about it. None of them.
Mm-mm.
Not even Fox News. Like, that's just weird, right?
Good point. Yeah, wow.
Go up to the history and origins and talking to my wife, and I'm like, oh, wow. We've been dealing this with for decades. And they're like, you mean there's more than two candidates? Are you kidding me? People are like shocked. And I'm like, I get it. It's the illusion of choice, even on the conservative side. So they are all in on it. And they're CIA controlled, but CIA is controlled by who? I'm going to go through that in the film, because maybe CIA is an underling to somebody else. And we're going to cover that
comes
also.
Out the 17th?
Yes, it comes out the 17th. And I just had to go through this, and then it started rolling into other things. And, I was thinking, like, what other things are they hiding? And if they're hiding those, they're not on our side. And I think people are going to be upset. There's going to be some news media that is out there. They're going to say, well, no, of course they're on our side. And I go, okay. Did they mention Tina Peters? Have they mentioned child trafficking? Have they mentioned all the deaths from what? No? Huh. Have they mentioned that in every single state there's multiple candidates running, not just the golden childs that would actually do good if they got equal coverage? No. Why is that? Well, because they're not on your side. You're being controlled.
Right.
And the conservative fake news media is much more dangerous than the liberal fake news media. Much more dangerous, because they're controlling the direction you're going in and you don't even know it. You're very clear what MSNBC and CNN are doing.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that with COVID, and pushing that narrative. So and we see the cover up with the child trafficking from that, mainstream media as well. And conservative newscasters, if you want to call them that, like Steve Hilton, how much of what he puts out is part of their narrative they want him to put out there. I think most of it. So that's why he's coming in when someone comes up with a really good idea like you, he's like, oh yeah, I have this idea too, and this idea too. That's one of the problems with coming in with change everything like you're going to do in California, which I think everybody's ready for. They're going to try and hijack that, because you're going to come out with your ideas, because you have to present those so people can see that you're legit and that you have a plan. You have you basically have all these people that are ready to implement it, and so they're just going to throw out, just like they normally do, talking points, which is empty behind the scenes.
They are, aren't they? There's not much I can say. You nailed it. And the reality is, this is our time. And I'm not talking about Lewis Herms. I'm talking about we the people.
Beautiful.
This is our time. And we are either going to take the ball and be accountable for the results, or we're going to sit on the sideline. What better opportunity to do that in California, where in 2022, in the midterm election, only 33% of registered voters came out to vote.
Wow.
If we can just push that up to 50%, actually, I did the numbers. Mike, if we can push that up to 37%, we win the election. Imagine if we put it up to 50%. We're probably going to have a mandate, right? Because people need to come out. And I hope I'm the candidate that can motivate people to do something they haven't done before. And that's come out for June 2nd in the primary and vote, because we certainly can make a difference. And I believe we're going to shock the world. Now, what are they going to do afterwards? Okay, I know what they're going to do because I've seen what they've done to President Trump, but that's okay. We're ready.
Well, Juan has come out and said that President Trump is going to declare a national election emergency. And if that actually comes true, then there's no what does that look like for you if they don't do that? So I know you just talked about numbers. I remember there was somebody in your debate that talked about numbers, and you said it doesn't matter about that. If they're going to cheat, they're going to cheat, and there's no one going to win.
Yep.
They're going to select. So we now maybe when Trump came into office first time and then the second time, maybe because there was such overwhelming response, which is possible, he was elected. What are your thoughts on that? Was it really just overwhelming response, or did they hijack the hijack?
You talking about the first time or the second time?
Both times.
Okay, so the first time,
let me say the first time he was elected, and the second time he was elected. So the
right
second time that he went up,
exactly.
it was stolen. So
two different scenarios. The first time, I think that he took him by surprise.
Yeah,
and again, Hillary Clinton was not a quality candidate. Let's just be real about that. Oh. And then what happened, and that was in 2016. The delta between 2016 and 2020, something happened that nobody talks about. And that was there was a 2018 election. And what they did in 2018 is in Orange County, California, which is a conservative. At the evening when they announced it, 5 Republicans took all 5 county seats. By the morning, with them watching ballot harvesting come in, all 5 Democrats stole the seats from the Republicans in 2018.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And the Republicans came out and did a conference. And instead of saying, we the people need to get up and fight this, they unilaterally got together and said, we will get them next time. So they were either complicit, they were scared, or stupid. And I don't know which one of them, but one of those things was happening.
Neither one of them was a winning hand.
Yeah. So at that time in 2018, the deep state knew that they won the 2020 election. And here's why I believe that. Because they already knew ballot harvesting worked, because it's been going on for several decades in other countries. Our CIA has been running that effectively, even machines effectively. No CIA agent has never contacted me in all the years I've been saying that and say, Lewis, you have it wrong. Guys, call me, prove to me I have it wrong.
I'll tell you, in Afghanistan, they were running it. CIA was running it, because I asked, and they said, don't worry, our guy's going to get elected. I was like, okay,
there you go. Yeah. So the CIA knew it works, right? So they already knew that ballot harvesting works. So they weren't testing whether ballot harvesting worked in the United States, because the process is the process. You just reapply it someplace else. What they were testing, Mike, is what was the reaction of the Republicans. And when they saw how apathetic they were just to cave over and say, we'll get them next time, at that moment, they knew that they stole the 2020 election from President Trump, in my opinion. Now, fast forward to 2024. I believe that President Trump was so good and Kamala Harris was so bad that the delta was unworkable for them between the two. So I believe, in my opinion, what happened is they said, we're not going to cheat as much against President Trump, and we're going to let this ride. So they spent all their focus doing something that's probably a lot more dangerous, and that's stealing the down ballot elections. And they put a lot of people in, right? So you have some real baddies, some George Soros type baddies all throughout the country that can fight against President Trump's agenda. So they thought that could probably buy them 4 years of just stalling whatever President Trump does, which in the long run, if we don't fix this, would actually be worse than if they took the president's spot again. Because I think there's more damage that you can do on a micro level than you can do on the macro level. So that's my opinion of what happened in 2024 election.
So you get elected, and what does that do for the country? What does that do to other states that have been basically stealing elections?
That's a great question. So let's just be real. Where California goes, the rest of the world will follow.
Yeah.
Literally, you're talking about the fourth largest economy if it was a country. Everybody's looking at California. See how glorious and how beautiful California used to be, right? They know that we're now the laughing stock. Now, I think something horrible happening right now really works to the benefit of a conservative right now. I believe that the deep state, the parasites like Gavin Newsom and his cronies, they know that they've lost in the future. So unfortunately, in war, which we are in, if we're going to be honest about that, the losing team often goes scorched earth right before somebody takes their territory. And I believe that's what Newsom and his deep state cronies are doing to California right now. They're trying to scorch earth it to take
Really?
down as much as they can and destroy it. And at the same time, it has a side benefit. And that side benefit, excuse me, is if they can drive all conservatives out of town after the elections get repaired, they may have an honest election and still win because there will be no conservatives left in California. So I'm looking at their plan. It's very obviously, because I spend a lot of time trying to get into the head of the enemy, so I know how I can combat the enemy.
That's fantastic. And yes, it'll be interesting. So your next event where you're speaking, is that going to be a public like the last one?
Well, I'm speaking a lot in the meantime. I mean, I'm actually speaking in Malibu tomorrow, right
Nice.
before a massive flag run. That will be fun. Is they're doing that, and they're doing I don't know if it's a MAGA or a Trump flag run. I'm not quite sure, but they invited me to speak. That's Saturday at 9:30 a.m. in Malibu. People could see that on my site, and I have several other speaking engagements that we're going to start listing on my website. And then the big debate is January 10th. I go on tour somewhere around January 22nd. Probably do 4 weeks of tour, take a week off, and go back on for another 4 weeks is what it looks like.
Wow. So is that under events, that all the stuff that you have?
I don't have it there. We can go to social media though, and they'll
Okay.
find it on social media. I'm just rebuilding the events page right now.
Gotcha. Okay. Good. So I like the date that you're going to release that video, the 17th. That's a nice number. So,
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I don't
Cool.
know how many times I've done something and it's landed on that date.
I know you've done that quite a few times, actually.
Yeah, and I'm not ever thinking about it ahead of time. It just happens to happen.
Yep. And I would, if some of you are like, Lewis is a long shot. So Lewis was having these events where he would come and speak. And one of the events where he was down in, I think it was Sarasota, where I was at one time in Florida. And we were going to go up and we were going to speak at the Georgia Guidestones, and we're going to pray for them. And they blew up before we got there. So that's don't ever discount Lewis. So you never know what's going to come. So I think you're going to blow it up in California and be the next governor.
I thrive on being the underdog.
Yeah.
When I played sports, you play pickup games, sports, football, baseball, basketball. I was very undersized. I didn't really start growing until after I was 17, right? So I was super undersized. I would always get picked last. The next time I was always picked first. So I'm up for the fight, y'all. We've got this.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was a runt, and then I just blossomed. Then I was on everybody's wish list team. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and then went on to do SEALs and all that kind of stuff. It was great. But from that, I started to learn all of the deep state activities and the stuff that they do, and I see that our country is in great danger. So we need patriots like yourself that are willing to step up and do the right thing, have the right background, love of our country, and so forth. You have great ideas. Wow, your ideas are really unbelievable. So you would work really in the presidency. So if you do a good job in California, who knows? Maybe you go all the way if you want. So that's fantastic. So, Louis, thanks so much for coming on and giving us your insights. You're a great man, great brother, and I look forward to you speaking in the future and being there to support you.
Appreciate you, Mike. Y'all just go to hermsforcali.com, volunteer, donate, whatever you can. We've got this, but we have to do it together. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely. And you're not under any party, are you?
No, so which actually gives me an advantage that people don't understand,
Yeah.
because it's a jungle primary, which is an open primary. So the non-political parties or the independents combined have recently surpassed the Republicans in numbers. Think about that.
Yeah.
So I'll grab the majority of them. I'll grab a good portion of the Republicans, and based on some common sense ideas, I can even grab the JFK Democrats. So we got a beautiful run. So if people are discounting me, they should probably
That's right. So RFK Jr. Has he supported you yet? Come out in the open?
Well, no, but I will tell you, I can officially tell you, is I'm working with 3 people from the RFK Jr. team.
Yep.
Literally, somebody that's really friends with Bobby Kennedy just texted me while you and I were talking, and I sent her to voicemail. I'm sorry, she called me. Now she's texting me. I sent her to voicemail, and I just had conversations at a party, I can't say who, with people that are extraordinarily influential that look like they're going to support me also. And I'm learning to play these things closer to my vest, because when I have diarrhea of the mouth, it doesn't always work out.
I do that too. So I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I'm kind of glad I did. I felt that was a good time. And how about that? Your calls, I gave you, I'm good luck for you. So
you are. I was like, oh, wow.
Keep me around.
But I didn't think I'd hear from her until last week. I'm like, oh, that's cool.
And I really, really want you to be governor of California. That way I can go out of California, because I'm not going back until somebody
I'm telling
gets back.
you, everybody needs to come back. You know what I mean?
We will.
I'll tell everybody, you guys can stay out to the primary. I'll let you do that. But when I get through the primary, y'all need to move back in and register immediately.
All right. We'll see.
All right, Mike. I'll be bugging you daily.
Maybe we can like move in with Tracy's mom. She's in California just for temporarily. So,
yes.
I don't know. All right, Louis. Thanks a lot. Lots of love to you and your lovely wife, and good luck going forward.
You too, and God bless you and your audience, and Tracy as well.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So yesterday we had Juan on, and he was talking about the national election emergency that Trump is going to call. How about that? All right. So all of these naysayers that talk about the election steal was a lie, they still do. Although I'd say probably 60 to 70% of people in the U.S. and probably even a higher number around the world know their election was stolen. So we're moving in the direction where he's going to call a national emergency, according to Juan, and that will make sense. Then we'll have fair votes. Miami just voted a Democrat mayor. Are you kidding me? So it's getting a little ridiculous out there, and I'm not liking it. This election, these election steals, Democrats nowhere, and I don't know, maybe in Miami they have a lot of people coming from New York, and that's a problem with a Republican state. You get a lot of people that are infiltrating from. They're running from Democrat hellholes and coming and creating hellholes within Republican good areas. Very frustrating. So we'll see how long that lasts. Like Juan and I said, we get fair elections. The Democrat Party goes away. There will be a Republican landslide like we have never, ever seen before. So national emergency election. going to be called national emergency election, something like that. It's going to be called by President Trump. So all of you whiners out there and the political parties out there, the rhinos and the Democrats aren't going to like that very much. So that's pretty much what he talked about yesterday. If you haven't seen that video, a lot of you have. Go check that out. It was one I did with Juan. It's on the YouTube channel. All right, very insightful. I think Juan was a little has been partaking of some alcoholic tasty beverages, and so he was very open. He was very open, and that's okay. We like it when he gets open and reveals. Of course, I get out of the way so he can reveal. There's a lot of things I like to say, but he has to build a narrative. Because imagine if I were to tell you that you don't have your freedoms anymore, and you're like, well, what do you mean? And I'd be like, well, that's all I got for you. Yeah, there's, I can't tell you anything more than that. You'd want a story behind that, right? You'd want a story behind that. And of course, I have someone that can share a story behind that, and that's the author of Death of Freedom, Michelle Melendez. Michelle.
Hey, aloha.
Wow, what an amazing view. Good job. Thank you.
I'm in Oahu right now helping a friend, and I just thought I'm going to sit outside and show you guys Diamond Head.
Diamond Head. I love that. I haven't seen that in a long time up close. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. My book, after I wrote The Great Maui Land Grab, so many people don't understand, how did we get into this mess? How did we lose our freedoms? And that's what the book is about. I'll just share with you guys really quickly how it happened. It was in 1871 when the District of Columbia was created, and they took the Washington and Georgetown, and they stuck them together and created a 10 square mile radius and called it the District of Columbia. And basically what that means, or what that meant to the country, to the nation, was that this district was outside of the United States of America. And it actually was run under Congress. Congress literally, this is where Congress sits. This is the nation. They didn't want to put the capital of the nation in any sovereign state because they didn't want that particular state to have extra power over Congress. So they made this special area outside of the United States of America. And so what happened with this special area that Congress literally runs is it started creating agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the CDC, the educational department, all of it. And then those agencies, their power, their rules and regulations trickled in like fingers into all the sovereign states and took them over because of the rules and regulations of that of the District of Columbia. So that's how we lost our freedom. And I was talking to somebody who was like, how can we gain our freedom back? I said, we can gain it back if the sovereign states got rid of all of the federal government's programs and funding, and we created our own. This would be over. It would be done. And we'd go back to having our sovereignty back. But I don't know. The money's too important for these demons.
Yeah, that's true. But we're taking the money away from them, and they're not liking that. Of course, they're trying to push back, but there's nothing they can do about it. And of course, your excellent work, sharing, the Maui, how it was basically a direct energy weapon attack. And then we had the same thing. You brought up a lot of great information about that. Same thing in LA. Mm-hmm. And seems like that's stopped now. Do you think maybe we've gotten an upper hand on that?
I think it's more, it's happening on a lesser scale. I live on the Big Island, so I'm on Oahu right now, but I actually live on the Big Island. And on the other side, we have the Hamakua Coast, which is beautiful. There's been 2 to 3 fires on the Hamakua Coast, 2 fires on in Hilo, which is the second largest town on the Big Island. And Hilo, it's very interesting because you guys got to be looking at your general plans. And Hilo, which is again the second largest town on the Big Island of Hawaii, it has no county plan. It has no regular county plan. All of the other towns on all the Big Island have their community plans except for Hilo. So we've been going to the county council meetings and talking about this Hawaii General Plan 2045, which wants to turn all important ag land into natural land, which is literally going to force farmers to be having more restrictions on them. Maybe their organic material isn't natural. Maybe the new building they want to create for their farm isn't under natural. So we've been fighting our county council and going to every single meeting. I met with the mayor. He gave me an hour, and I brought him a stack of documents, because at first he called us all conspiracy theorists. And then I was like, hey, give me an hour of your time. And he did. And by the end of our meeting, he paused the Hawaii General Plan. But then so it worked, but we're still in the works. So I just want to tell everybody, you gotta go. This is the easiest way to see if your general plan violates the Constitution. You go to ChatGPT, and all you have to do is put in, does my county's plan, put in the name of your county, does my county's general plan violate the Constitution, violate any amendments? I was live with Ann Vanderstill, and she did this on a live show, and numerous amendments came up that her general plan was violating.
Wow. That's great. Wow. So it's, you've been talking about this for a while. So now you got it down to a very simplified way to find out. I looked when I was in Madeira Beach. I looked at our plan, and it was pretty good.
Good.
Although there were some problems when we had our flooding that we started to, those of us that were there started to show that the city council and so forth was corrupt in a lot of different areas. So you have to be vigilant in a lot of different areas these days.
Yeah, that's why, again, the death of freedom, it's what happened to America and how to save it. Because a lot of people goes, I'm all about actions. I'm like, what can we do? Okay, let's not complain unless there's something that we can actually do. And you guys, there's a lot of things we can do. Number one is, again, check out your general plan, go to your county council meetings, talk to your county council members, and share this information. I've created in the book, there's 3 citizen memorandums. One is about the chemtrails. You can actually use the citizen memorandum. I actually give you the link. You can download it, take it to your county clerk's office, and submit it into your county record. Then you can start using that to talk to your legislators and say, hey, this is real deal with these chemtrails. Like, I went and spoke in Nevada. I could not believe the number of chemtrails I saw. It completely covered the sky. It was very disturbing. The second thing of citizen memorandum that's in the book is you can actually put a citizen memorandum about, and I'll just say that I don't know what platform you're using, but you can actually, again, put it into your county record. Go to your county clerk's office. It's very easy to do. These are already done for you. They're in the addendums. So you click on the addendums. I don't know if you can pull it up there or not, but if you go to the addendums, you can print these out, you guys, then take them to your county clerk's office. Then you can use that information and documentation by talking to your legislators. So that's our power, is citizen memorandums, affidavits of truth, and then what Cal Washington is doing, which is our notices of liability. We have power against this. We just have to use it, and we need numbers.
Very good, very good. And you have the CIA, FBI mind control programs. So they're trying to dumb us down so that we don't understand any of this. And so I appreciate all the shows we've done together, because you have basically been disclosing this from our first show. And how they basically come in, they screw your mind.
And the thing is, people need to understand is this has been going on since the 40s. I mean, since after World War II. And the television and your smartphone, it actually has a frequency that literally hypnotizes you to stay alert, to stay awake, to keep scrolling. I remember one time I was scrolling. okay, I get really good sleep. I go to sleep really easily, and I usually stay asleep all night. And all of a sudden, one night I was like, oh, I never do any of the short videos, never watch any of it. I was just like bored, did it. I was up till 1 a.m. and I'm like, why? What is wrong with me? Why can't I turn this off and put it away and go to sleep? And then I was realized, oh my gosh, this is what mind control is. And so I stopped watching them, but it literally is an addiction, and it's by design, you guys. They know how to do this with your mind, with the frequency. Why in the world, 2009, why did the government, Congress care about what, if you had a digital television, or what was that about? Everybody had to go to digital is because of the frequency, the new frequency of that television. That's why, because it was all mind control. That is the reason why everybody had to switch to digital.
Incredible. Wow. So yeah, more great reveals. I got the audio book. I was listening to it when I was working out. So it's great. You have it in audio format that frees it up for a lot of other people too. So,
what happened? There's so many people that don't think anything is going on, but it actually explains how we got here. The founding fathers, it's all business related. It is all about commerce. In fact, the court system is based on what's called merchant law, law merchant. And this is an ancient law. It's Congress didn't create the system of our government, of our court systems. It actually is based on law merchant, and law merchant was based on the ships. So ships would go into different ports, and they needed one system if anything happened, and to that they could go into courts very quickly, solve the issue so that they could get back on their ship and leave. And so what happened was they actually turned this into the system, into what we have now, which is the court system. And here's another thing too. When you go into the courts, it's not under the Constitution unless you invoke the Constitution in the court system. And you can do that. And the way that you do that is you basically ask a question. You say, Judge, you and the prosecuting attorney have both signed an oath to defend and support the Constitution. Is that correct? Once the judge says yes, which he's not going to want to do. In fact, Captain Matt, who's in the first book I did, Great Maui Land Grab, he didn't have any plates, any state plates on his car. He was traveling, because you can travel under the Constitution. So he gets pulled over, goes to court. The court literally waits till everybody is out. He even said, because they knew him, they knew what he was going to do. So they even had to push, kind of shoo some people out of the courtroom. So he gets up there, and the judge starts talking, and then Matt goes, I have unalienable rights under God. And he looks up, and the judge left the room, walked out of the room when he said that, because once you literally say that you are a sovereign being, a living man or living woman with unalienable rights under God, you take yourself out of the jurisdiction of the law merchant, which is what is run in the courts. So the judge left the room and then came back and the judge was pleading for Matt. It was actually, you could hear the recording. I heard the recording, and they're arguing back and forth. And the judge is going, you're going to plead no guilty, or no, not guilty. You're going to plead not guilty, and we're going to have another court case. And Matt is trying to talk over the judge, saying, you cannot make a plea for me, which they can't. So anyway, long story short, they do another court case, and the police officer doesn't show up, and it gets dismissed. So They will not tell you the truth about the court system. But if you use this, it's going to shift things. It'll shift things out of their jurisdiction. Yeah,
we're taking the control away from them. So they've masterminded a control system, maritime law, pirate law, and if you learn that the constitutional law, is basically was written into the law of our land, and they've been stealing it from us for a long time. So we have basically these players that are in these positions of power. They're in positions of power because we've allowed them to be there.
That's right.
And once we start to understand, we don't have to allow them to have any authority over us, because they're in those positions a lot of times through coercion, through manipulation, and all other kind of means that are not lawful, then they're in a position that's not lawful, and so they have no jurisdiction over us. So beautiful job describing that, in your work. Of course, we all love your work. You've been revealing an unbelievable information in your books, and this is just a taste. So people, if you want more, the links are in the description box. Definitely go check them out. And anything else you'd like to add, Michelle?
Yeah, G. Edward Griffin wrote the foreword, and that was just such a blessing. I was at the Red Pill Expo with him twice last year, and asked him if he would do the foreword to my book, and he wrote that. And just to have a legend like that to support this work just really meant a lot. And of course, you wrote an endorsement. I just really appreciate that and your time for doing that. But again, I just want to say, you guys, we do have power. Sometimes it feels like, it's so overwhelming, and the corruption is so much, but each one of us is here for a reason. My background is a fitness trainer, and if I can find this information out and do this work, you guys, going to your county council meetings, can they be boring? Yes and no. My sister was actually laughing because we were sitting there in one of our county council meetings, and we had a group, like 30 to 40 of us, each one of us speaking with passion, talking about our general plan and what we don't want and what we're concerned about. And my sister looked at me and said, "This is the funnest I've ever been at a county council meeting," because all of us were really passionate about holding our ground and standing for our freedom. So you guys, we're meant to do this. Find your community, start to grow your numbers in your community in a way that is what we call pono, which is right, and aloha, being kind, and do this work. This is what we're meant to do. If you think it's not coming for you, think again. It's coming for all of us.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, thanks a lot, Michelle. I know you're limited time, but we'll have to do a more thorough show in the future.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Jaco. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha. All right, so you guys see that there's information out there that can inform us and help us to break free from this manipulative control system. President Trump can only do so much. He can set the stage for a lot of this stuff, like when we have this election emergency, presidential election emergency proclamation that sounds like it's coming. That doesn't mean that we just kick back and election integrity is going to just land in our laps. That gives us the freedom to really push into these areas that have been super compromised. Colorado, New York, lots of different states have been extremely compromised on the election integrity. California, probably one of the most egregious of all of them. This will be the opportunity for those of you that have been, waiting for this type of opportunity, pushing as much as you could, making inroads, and this will create a super highway so you can go high speed into taking down this control system like we were just talking about. Right? It's not just judges; it's also the political manipulators that are out there. It's the educational system that's out there. So many different things they're going to get taken down and destroyed and never to return again, ever. So that's what we're looking for. So you guys know that I have said some things in the past. Michelle was talking about how there is still a little bit of manipulation going on as far as like directed energy weapons, creating fires and burning things. I think on a limited level, that is very, very possibly, and obviously, in her case, as she's describing, going on. So, but on a larger scale, it seems like it has been, suppressed for significantly. I talk about how I predict, weather and so forth, hurricanes. I've been doing that for well over a decade, close to a couple decades, with people, in smaller circles, but on a larger scale, definitely over the last 6 years, I've been on a massive level. So this last year, I talked about how there are ships, large ships, container ships, tankers that are used, and they were helping to create weather patterns out in the water, and that had been proven. So I talked about how wouldn't it be nice if special forces teams like my old team, SEAL Team 6, we did shipboarding. Of course, there's a lot of groups that are trained. You can have trained in shipboarding now. You can have Coast Guard. Coast Guard was trained by, and I remember when I was in Virginia Beach at SEAL Team 6, we had a group of trainers that went to the Coast Guard and started training the Coast Guard how to do shipboarding, caving ladders, and going up and how to move and so forth. So yes, there's a lot of different groups out there. Of course, the fleet, naval fleet has components now that have shipboarding crews and so forth. They can launch rubber boats and go out and do shipboarding. So it is something that I said should have been done for the weather modification big ships that were out there. And lo and behold, we didn't have any hurricanes this year that impacted us. All right. Now, I said, I think maybe a couple days ago, because there's all these people are making comments, because I think they've taken down probably a couple dozen of these speedboat, that are out there. And I think 85 people have been killed, terrorists that are on these speedboats bringing drugs to America. Now, I've known for many, many decades that we have, there are ships out there, like cargo ships, like tankers and so forth, that their rear area, just like you see on ships that are landing craft ships, where their backs basically or their fronts open, and then they have well decks and boats can come in and out. There are tankers and container ships that can do this as well, guys. All right. It's not anything new technology, but it is something that's been hidden from the public for a long time. So a couple of days ago, I talked about that. How about that? So I talked about that, and guess what? One of the headlines is today that we should go board those, because that's where the speedboats are going. They're going to these tankers and these vessels that have large, container ships and so forth that have well decks that are allowing these boats to come in. So today we have breaking news, that Trump confirms U.S. forces interception and seizure of sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. How about that? So I think, I've known this for a while, that Trump and team have been paying attention to what I put out. So not that it hasn't been already going on, but because I reveal it or other people reveal it, not just me, but it comes into the public domain through one of us influencers, then it can go into the general public, like we're seeing right here. So you see that gentleman that looks like he's going up a ladder. It looks like I don't know if it's doesn't look like a caving ladder to me, but maybe it's a more stationary ladder. So a little bit easier to go up. The caving ladders are just a wire. It's wire on each side, and it's got a little piece of metal that goes in between. And on that metal, we would put what's that? That slip, non-slip stuff that we put on decks. I can't think of the name of it right now, but non-slip stuff, right? So it's been a while. So we put that on the ladders, on the caving ladders, on where the little pieces of metal go, so your boots don't slip. And if you're wearing booties like I used to wear, because I'd be the first one up, they're slick, can be slick, even though they have a nice firm sole on them. They can still slip if the metal is just bare metal. So we put basically this non-skid, and I think that's what it's called. It's called non-skid paint. So it's got basically particles in it and when you paint it, it dries and it's textured so that you don't slip. So this looks like a ladder. Maybe this is the new thing. They don't have the caving ladders. Probably the SEAL Team 6 guys still have it. But these guys looked like whoever they are, and they're not SEAL Team 6. Otherwise, you would not see their faces. But they have some type of ladder that's more firm, easier to climb. As you guys can see, they just stick it up there, and it's probably got a metal hook at the top, which basically can go over the railing, whatever, and hook. And then the first guy goes up and he'll like do a carabiner so the next guys come up, they're safe, right? So that's what I would do. I would be the lead climber. That's why I call it lead climber. So you're first one up. You could be the first one shot too. So you had to come up with the, after being smashed in the boat for hours, in heavy seas, and then you like climb up this ladder with the boat up and down, and then you get to the top and you like have to break out your pistol just before you come over the top, and nope, there's nobody there to shoot. Put it and then get up and then make it safe and signal down to everybody come up, and then everybody comes up, and then you take down the ship. So that's what. And by when I say take down a ship, you head for the bridge. Now, this can be multiple things that happen at once. So we would have snipers that would come in, little birds that would cover us, and then we would have C-60, or not C-60, but MH-60s, Blackhawks that would come in, and guys would fast rope from the Blackhawks on either side, and then they go up and take down the bridge, and then we start deck by deck, taking over the ship, right? So this is probably what's going on out there now. So you had these speedboats that were going, so they weren't letting on that they knew where they were going, right? But they knew, of course they knew. So they're hitting these boats before they would get to these container ships. And once you get into those container ships, you can't hit them with those, directed energy weapons or missile systems anymore. Yes, I said directed energy weapons. And so now it's a bigger reveal, guys. So we're in a bigger reveal for the public. And yes, we all work together, and we start to reveal these things, and we make it easier for everybody to understand. All right. So there's things that, I look at and I'm like, I can't reveal that yet. So I'm not going to just start blowing stuff up, with my talk. So you guys that are watching me, that. So you're safe. Your secrets are safe with me still. So, but this I felt was one of those, because people were asking, WTF, what the frig are we hitting these speedboats? They're definitely not going all the way to mainland United States. And I let it ride. No one say anything for a long time, for weeks. And I'm like, I think it's okay to say this now, because everybody, there's so much momentum behind finding out why we're doing what we're doing, and so I said it. And now it's out in the news. It's crazy how that works, right? There's a lot more things I could be saying, but they'll have to wait for the perfect time. All right. So not only am I well informed, from decades of working within that environment and working with systems that were extremely advanced and are still so advanced that you're not going to see them probably for, I don't know, maybe a couple of years until some of those secrets start to be revealed that everybody can benefit from. But it's also from my remote viewing, right? So I see things, and if I see or hear someone else say something that I have remote view that I know is like, it's kind of sketch. It's on the cusp of, maybe I shouldn't be revealing this yet, but if I hear someone within administration say something along those lines, and I'm like, bam, here we go. I'm putting it out there. So it is a very we all have these abilities. I've talked about this for, this is before I became an influencer. I was a teacher of remote viewing and remote influencing. And intuition. So I use these skills. That's how I became so popular. I use these skills basically to look and see where things are going and who's doing what. Of course, YouTube did not like that I was very, very informed. So it took me down. So freedom of speech is back for a certain extent. Now, I saw just recently where some people within the administration have been saying that free speech is back, but I can tell you that it's back, but not in everything. In healthcare, all right, there are still things that can get you in trouble. But I've been saying a lot of stuff that I said 5-6 years ago that got me taken down. But I'm just full on a lot of this stuff. I have Juan come on. Juan just goes off. I think he likes to come on and build the narrative, like I was talking about before Michelle came on. So Michelle, kind of came in just a perfect time to let you guys know you have to have a story behind. Like for instance, we were talking about the freedoms, right? So freedoms have been taken away from us. We can get those back, and we are getting them back. And one of the ways we're going to get them back, we don't have them all yet. But one of the ways we're going to get them back is to have a national election emergency so that a lot of the people that have been manipulating and controlling us, controlling our consciousness, just like, I mentioned with Trump derangement syndrome. When I had Kathy O'Brien on, I wish she had mentioned that while we were having the show, but after the show, we talked a little bit, and she's like, yeah, this Trump derangement syndrome, that's part of the MK Ultra program. And I was like, yeah, okay. That totally makes sense now. Yeah. So, and then Juan yesterday said, you know how they keep doing this Russia thing, and they tried to blame Trump for the Russia collusion and all that kind of stuff, which was all false. That's how they killed JFK, because JFK was behind the scenes having communication with his other in Russia, so that we didn't go to war with them. I think that's pretty cool, right? But the deep state didn't like that. They wanted to be completely in charge, so they convicted him in their court, like we're talking about, the court system, the pirate court, the maritime law court, and it goes into, they have the same system among themselves. They're so corrupt, and so within their own system, they're deciding who's guilty and who's going to pay. So they decided, because Kennedy was talking to Russia and making sure that we didn't get into a nuclear war with them, because as we saw with the Bay of Pigs, that didn't work out so good. Yeah, they double crossed him, and they were like, yeah, we got planes, and then we're like, well, we don't have planes now. And he said, well, you said you had planes, you had this all under control. I'm not going to send U.S. jets into there and have the potential of U.S. servicemen being killed. You said you had this thing under control, so no, they didn't like that, right? So the Russia thing. So he's like, well, you guys are some dirty players. I'm going to just work around your dumbasses, which is what I've done my whole career. So, which is what I'm doing now, right? I'm working around the deep state, and I'm revealing stuff they don't want revealed. So that's pretty much where I'm at. That's what they did with Kennedy, saying, oh, you dirty. They said, you're a dirty rat because you're talking to Russia, and we wanted to have a nuclear war, and you stopped that. So you got to go. And now we have NATO trying to start another nuclear war with Russia. So Ukraine, through Trump, was going to have peace if they had gone with Trump's plan. And Russia was like, if we do this, then yeah, we can have peace. But Ukraine, or Zelensky, is running back over to the NATO, demon rats, demonic assholes, not Democrats, but demon rats. So Democrats, demon rats, same thing. So, so there's demons everywhere. Demons here, demons there, demons everywhere. Right. So, yeah, Luciferian. They're Luciferian. Yeah. So, I mean, let's just call it what it is. So these people basically are, yeah, we'll give you money. Screw Trump. You know, he's a Russia collusion guy. So we can continue to knock him down because there's Russia involved, just like there was with Kennedy. So they're like Russia, Russia, Russia. Yeah. So that's how they attacked Trump for all those years. It's the same thing. That's what Juan revealed last night when I talked to him. And I was like, oh my God, of course. That's why they did the Russia collusion thing. Because when they do that, then they can really come after Trump in their little twisted mind, little, you know, back door, whatever, back deal rooms. This is cigar smoke and whatever. Probably don't smoke cigars anymore. They smoke each other. But so, because that's what they like to do. All right. We know that they like to do that to each other. And yeah, so I have to throw this stuff out there sometimes. You'll see me like making jokes, just like Juan does, because the AI monsters that are out there don't understand humor, right? So I throw this humor and stuff out there like that sometimes, and that throws everything, and they don't like that, and that gets them into such a tizzy they don't make really good decisions after that. So, yeah, I like to throw that stuff out there, and you guys should be doing the same thing. So anyway, they're smoking each other behind the scenes, and they're making decisions while they're smoking each other, and that brings us to the point where we have these really bad decisions for humanity, right? And then those people that are trying to help humanity, like Trump and like Putin, because you look at Russia. Russia is a beautiful Christian nation, family oriented, and so forth. But these clowns talked about how she basically had been mind controlled, mind compartmentalized, and the main thing that they use. So this all came to me. This all came to me after doing all these shows with her, reading her books and everything. It's like it just boom came to me that they mind control, not just a Kathy O'Brien. They still do that to hundreds, maybe thousands of children, guys. They do the MK Ultra. She said she went to NASA programs, military programs, DARPA programs that basically did mind control on her. She was Project Monarch. All right, so they compartmentalize their minds, and they can do that as young children. And they come in, they take these young children, and they basically defile them, all right, lots of different ways, all right, and subject them to all kinds of horrors. And so she's like, this was my, that's beautiful, 111. Thank you. That's the most, Mary, I've ever gotten. Thanks. Appreciate that. And that's a beautiful number. That's an angelic number. So we are basically moving into a direction where we're exposing all this, but we have to understand it's not pretty. It's not a pretty system that they've been using against children within their own families. You look at Bush Jr. He was obviously, that boy was mind controlled. Right? He was messed up. He was bad. And then you have a lot of other families, Rothschild families, Clinton families, you name it. These families are messed up. They file their children so that they can use their children in these programs, and they'll eventually, if they're really mind controlled really well, they'll move to the top. So Kathy's talking about how her mind's fractured, and I was like, I've heard from so many other people that are coming forward, and Kathy was one of the first ones. So revealing, and then more reveals come out, just like they're revealing that they haven't actually shown the ship with the open. I think that will come next. Where they're going to show some of these ships that have open bows or open sterns where boats can go in. I think that's going to come. I think that's going to come now. So when someone reveals and other people start to reveal more, they're like, okay, green light. He's not dead. He didn't take him. They didn't take him down. Okay, I'm going to reveal. It's kind of the way I've been. And so Kathy O'Brien, very early on, was revealing on this stuff. So I was like, they fractured your mind and compartmentalized it so that you could be a transporter of information. What's that event in Northern California where, Alex Jones went out there? What's the name of that place? Somebody throw it in the chat. So the name that Meadows, it's where they have the big trees, right? The redwoods, Bohemian Grove. Thank you, David. So Bohemian Grove, she said that she was in line when she turned 30 to be burned alive in front of everybody. And I was like, well, of course they would do that, because that's going to show all of those, people that go to that. President Reagan used to go to that. Hello. So they're going to show them that they're going to protect you, because she worked with President. Well, she was. So that's what Kathy went through, and she's disclosing that. She's talking about how we can break free from that in her books. Michelle Melendez talking how we can break free from this in her books. My shows telling you how to break free from this. Get informed. Start to understand this stuff. Start to see through all the bullshit, right? Because there's a lot of it out there. And that's what Juan said. He said, he has a Magador thing with Trump. And he says, Trump is not going to focus on the bullshit anymore. He's going to release the Krakens. He didn't say that, but that's my words. And he's going to start the, the emergency election fraud system is going to go into effect. So, oh my God, it's going to be so good. But again, it's not, done when he does that. It's like, that's when we really get the free reign to really get involved, guys. So he's creating an environment where we can take back our country and get more involved, kind of like Michelle was talking about, where you get involved with what is your city council doing? What kind of laws have they passed that are unconstitutional that you need to be aware of so that you can push back on? And you can get groups of people that go into the city council and say, you guys are doing unconstitutional stuff here. You're going to have to reverse that. All right. So, or we're going to vote you out of here, and we're going to make this extremely public, and with your names, and your lives are going to be ruined, and so forth. No. So that's what's going to happen. Tactical civics. That's really good, Arlene. Thank you for bringing that up. Tacticalcivics.com. There's lots of different ways. You should be paying taxes, federal taxes. All right. So there's lots of ways that you can stop that. Many of us have. And if you get informed, just like you saw Michelle describing, if you have the right verbiage, it all stops. Now, Trump has said that we're probably going to be able to do away with the federal tax. No more federal tax, because we are making so much money with taxing all of these countries. So today, the Federal Reserve manipulator came out and said that President Trump's taxation, where he's taxing other countries and so forth, is causing inflation. Bullshit. All right. So let's look at that. All right. So right now, today, as we're speaking, the real money that we're going to be moving to very shortly, silver, is going up and away in my beautiful balloon. So there it is. Look at that. Silver is at $62, almost $63 an ounce right now. Gold is starting to creep back up on its all-time high, which is at 44. So it's at 42, 43. So up $11 is creeping up. Platinum doing really well too. And then the miners, as you guys can see here, SIL and SIL Silver juniors. So the majors and the juniors both are doing well. Majors are up 1.64 and juniors are up 1.3. Usually juniors really rocket fast. I don't know why they're not right now, but anyway, keep an eye on that. All right. So Santa Claus rally. I know a lot of you guys are probably still invested in the stock market. You're going to get your Santa Claus rally because what happened today? What have they been waiting on? They've been waiting for the Federal Reserve to come out and say they're going to cut rates. Now, they were pushing for a long time. So Dr. Kirk Kelly and I both agreed that they were the last, we said for the next couple Federal Reserve meetings, for the next three, I think it was actually. I think they've done it 3 times now. How many times have they? We said that they're going to cut rates all the way up into December. And then they were coming out saying, no, they're not going to cut rates because inflation is high. It's bullshit, guys, because what makes inflation go higher? The price of energy. What has President Trump done since he's been in office? He's dropped the price of energy. So all prices are dropping, right? So the Fed coming in and saying, no, it's because Trump is taxing the world. It's not working out so good. It's causing inflation. Lies, and damn lies. All right. Federal Reserve will soon be going away. And then we go to silver and gold. Silver and gold. Silver. Watch the cartoon movie. What is it? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So you have Burl Ives in there singing silver and gold. So that's what we're going back to, silver and gold, right? So right now, silver is above $63. Woohoo! So it's up $2 right now. All right, so tomorrow, the next day, probably it could continue to go up, and towards into the end of the year, it's probably going to be close to $75, guys. All right. So I know, again, there's lies, and more lies and damn lies that have been spread that silver is going to, look at that number of viewers, 1771. Oh, that's pretty cool. Can we get a 1776 there? All right. So come on, I'm watching. Come on, 5 more. Let's go. Get it. Come on, hit it. It's probably going to go to like 3,000 or something, which is cool. No, it went down. Oh, well, there's a lot more watching, I'm sure. But anyway, silver and gold, silver and Bitcoin's down, but I think probably Bitcoin's going to explode. Look at the Dow Jones went up 1% today, almost 500. It was up almost 600, pull back a little bit. NASDAQ was up. Santa Claus rally, right? So you're going to see this puppy go because they were just waiting for the Fed to come in and make the decision on the rate cut, and now it's Santa Claus rally time, right? So manipulation central, right? It keeps going, keeps getting manipulated up. It's the last thing because the Fed was talking today about how housing is not so good, right? Which your boy said was going to be going down. I've been saying it for a couple of years, and yeah, over the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been going down for a lot of areas, and it's going to continue to fall very significantly. Now, I think that the Federal Reserve is going to be replaced. The head of the Federal Reserve will be replaced, and we will see potentially a rate cut all the way into the midterms so that the economy keeps cranking. Right? So I don't know, but I think it's a possibility the economy could like crank downward real hard, but I don't know if they keep pumping the money out there. That's what makes that greases the skids and keeps everything going up. We could potentially, if we see a rate cut, so we're at 3.5, I think, right now, something like that. So that'll bring it down to like maybe about 2, which would be fair, right? Should be 0, but it'll bring it down to about 2, right? and that will make a lot of things easier to buy. I don't know. I think if we get that, as you guys can see, January, March, May, June, July, quarter point each one of those. Then we get a little pause in August, in September, and October. All right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that makes it, if it's quarter point every time, that's 1.5 points total. That's easy because we're at 3.5. Easy. And the guy that Trump looks like he's going to get into the Federal Reserve position is a guy that's probably going to lower those rates, guys, every time. All right. So interesting times we have. It'll be interesting if that's what happens. So maybe there'll be just a very slow and deliberate squeeze of the financial institutions, and they'll be ejected out, held up on charges, and all of them will go to jail forever, maybe executed. New polling puts President Trump in landslide lead when it comes to the economy, defying Democrats' biggest midterm narrative. That's another indicator for me that this gravy train is going to continue, guys. All right. So if we're going to continue to see the stock market reach even greater heights, which it needs to go to like ridiculous. I guess it hasn't gone to ridiculous level yet. In 1929 and 2008-ish, whatever, it went in the dot-com bust. It went to ridiculous levels. All right. We haven't seen ridiculous yet. So we can't have a really good crash unless we have ridiculous levels. All right. So I'm pushing for ridiculous. All right. So when we get ridiculous, we're going to see everything else go ridiculously high, like crypto, like silver and gold, and we'll see even stocks go up. They'll pull back, occasionally here and there, like they have been, but they're probably going to go like ridiculous. And ridiculous can get it. You can think there's no way it can get more ridiculous, and then it'll go more ridiculous, right? So don't think that it can't go super ridiculous. I think we need a super ridiculous, but you never know. It may not. So if given the binary choice of going back to the Biden Democrat policies of the last presidential term or going forward with Trump, the GOP appears to be in good shape. And there is a guy that I follow that prognosticates elections, and he's been a dead ringer for going back 3 cycles, or even before Trump came in. He's saying that the midterm is going to be a red wave. Now, we've heard this before, and we know that Democrats come in and sabotage the shit out of that, right? So the only way that that's going to get turned around and be a red wave, even with the Democrat machine potentially manipulating things like it seems like they're doing. We just got a mayor in the big red state of Florida, in Miami, and we just had all those Democrats win up in the Northeast. So it appears to me that there's going to be manipulations unless we come in with unless President Trump comes in with the block. All right, so he throws the block, and then we run I was running back, so I love a good block. And I would run it in for touchdown because I was a mover. I ran very fast back in the day, right? And you could hit me, and I could keep going, and it'd take a lot of people hitting me, take me down. So it was fun. If I hadn't, I was like, should I go to college and become a professional running back, or should I go SEAL teams? SEAL teams. Right, so that's what I did. All right, I think it worked out pretty good. All right, so but occasionally I think about those days, and I think about the manipulation that goes on in professional football these days and how games are thrown, and I'm like, I probably wouldn't have liked that. I like having a little bit more control over my life. All right, so we all want control over life, and if President Trump's team basically comes in and does a nice block so we can run in the football and score. And I don't really care, who it is, because Mike Lindell is probably going to be the governor of Minnesota, like Jesse Ventura. So Jesse Ventura came into Minnesota. So Minnesota doesn't like. So we go all the way back into the farmers, back in the early 1800s. They didn't like bullshit in Minnesota. All right. So the farmers had a very good say back in the day. Jesse Ventura was not on any political party, really. He was on the anti-party party, and so he won. And so Mike Lindell looks like he's going to come in and do the same thing. So he's like been exposing corruption like crazy, and I think Minnesotans are ready to get rid of the craziness that's been going on in their state with the what is it? Is that Ilhan Omar's in Minnesota? She's in Minnesota, or is that another state? I got to get this down. So I always wondered this. Somebody know? So, Minnesota. So Minnesota, I think if they get Mike Lindell, which I think is a good chance, because they are basically they push back against the system when the system is bad. It could be Omar she's in Minnesota. All right, so there you go. Minnesotans are fed up with this bullshit. Billions of their dollars basically went to organizations that were supposed to be benefiting children and elderly, didn't go to them, and was supposed to be going to autistic people. If you haven't seen that autistic show that I did just recently with a doctor, basically that talks about how you can change your diet and autism goes away. Wow, you need to watch that. All right, Minnesota, yes, Minnesota. Is that right? Minnesota. Is that like Indian? Is that Indian name, right? Minnesota. But I don't think the Indians say it like that. You go up there. I've been through that area, and there's all kind of Indian names. Pretty cool. So yeah, I think Ilhan Omar and the Somali mafia have really pissed some people off, and I think they're ready to push back. Turbin, Texas. Yep, you guys marry? Absolutely. You got some problems down there, and Tejas as well. So I think in Tejas that can get cleaned up real quick with the right governor. Right. So you might be looking at a new governor in Tejas, and if you get the right governor, then you'll clean that Texas place up real quick. The Jihad Squad gotta go. All the Jihad Squads. Even in Florida, in not St. Petersburg, but in what's other? So anyway, in Florida, they're going to have like a big Muslim rally for 3 days, right, coming up, and they're going to have all these speakers and so forth. Not Miami, nope. God, just there. Can't even think of it. My mind, it's gone. Bye, mind. No, I can't remember everything. So, Tampa. So Tampa. So give me time. I'll figure it out. So, Tampa. Yes, thank you, Michelle. All right. So I must have got your thought. You must have thought it, and I go, oh, thank you. All right. So Tampa, they're going to have a Muslim rally, and they're going to have tens of thousands of Muslims going to show up in Tampa, and they're going to demand for Sharia law in Florida. I don't know, but I'd be very, very cautious there, guys, and maybe a pushback, maybe a counter to their whatever they're doing. All right. If you don't get involved, then you're basically acquiescing to whatever they do. Right. Miami will be a port and headquarters for what is that? are you saying there? Saudis, Latin America. Right? Saudis, Latin America. Yeah. Tampa is very liberal too. Yes, very, very liberal, unfortunately. So, yeah, a lot of these big states or big cities are, almost all of them are Democrat run, liberal guys. Almost throughout the United States. I remember looking it up one time, and it was like just almost all of them. All the big cities had Democrats that were running them, the mayors. Let's see. Liberals in big, that's kind of vague. Liberal mayors. How about that? Liberal mayors. You can do it at home too. Liberal mayors in big cities, in big U.S. cities. Many large U.S. cities are led by Democratic, often considered liberal mayors. Many. That's AI overview. So, of course, Eric Adams, New York City, Brandon Johnson, Chicago, Karen Bass, Los Angeles, and Juan said that Karen Bass was not elected. Michelle Wu in Boston, Brandon Scott in Baltimore. They push back on federal actions, say that they push the Trump derangement, MK Ultra mind control system. So that's good. We should start calling it that, guys, because that's what it is. It's a MK Ultra mind control system, the Trump derangement system. So now that we put a face on the problem, we can start to understand a lot better. All right, so let me go. A list of 50. All right, so here we go. I got it for you. All right, I got the research. I got the power. Oh. All right. It's blue. It's bluer than blue. Look at all that blue. Oh my God. There's red. Eric Johnson and Dallas. That just happened. Because I know Dallas was blue. Good job. All right. Fort Worth. Oh, two Texans and let's start to take it back, guys. You see? Oklahoma City, good. Of course, El Paso, Democrat. Look at all these: Portland, Democrat; Memphis, Boston, Las Vegas, Washington, San Francisco, Louisville, Charlotte, Columbus, Indianapolis, San Jose, Austin, Honolulu, Jacksonville, San Diego, San Antonio, Philadelphia, Phoenix. All the big cities. All the big cities are blue, guys. Oh, one independent. He's probably leans Democrat, though. And who knows? Some of these Republicans could be rhinos. Mesa, Arizona, Republican, good. Fresno, California. Yeah, Fresno has been one of the holdouts in California. And they want to break away from California. I remember talking about that, and that video that I did on YouTube got taken down. Virginia Beach, Republican. Awesome. That's where the SEAL teams are. So Suarez, Nomas there in Miami. So he's gone. He was basically rhino. But yeah, 50 largest cities. They're pretty much all Democrat guys. Like I said. All right, there you go. You're welcome. All right. You're welcome for informing you of the obvious. All right. Yes, we are a country that is not headed in the right direction. So we get fair elections like Trump's going to bring in. You're going to see that blue go red, and could be like a Mike Lindell, which is not probably going to be either party. Right? Just like Jesse Ventura wasn't. Jesse, I agree with a lot of stuff Jesse puts out there, but Jesse's a wild card. All right, so What happened? Everything else but that. Oh my God, dude. So Maddie, thank you. Super chat sticker. All right, like it. All right. Now, how can you guys help yourself and support me? Is join LifeWave, right? If you're not on LifeWave yet, you want to be. You should be. Everybody should be on LifeWave. It's fantastic, and not bullshitting. I don't bullshit. Right. So I know a lot of you guys are on it. Everybody that's I'm going to be sending performance bundles to all the people that are in my that have wrenches. I get their. You guys work with Mike, and he's got your addresses, so we'll send those out and very soon. And thank you guys for helping support the channel. And we're going to give you LifeWave. If you're not already using it, you're going to use it, and you're going to be like, dang, I get on this shit. So I've been on it for 3 years. It's fantastic. It's a great way to earn income as well, if you like. All right. So have a great team. If you're unsure about LifeWave, go into the LifeWave link or into my website, michaelkjaco.com, or into LifeWave, Michael Jaco. And there is a info button you can hit, and I have a team that basically can help you out, help answer your questions, or help you sign up. Maybe sign up under doctors that are in my team, or whatever you want. All right. So it is definitely a great system that help you in many different ways, as me. So we're moving into a period where things are going to change very quickly. Especially if President Trump comes out. And that might be, I believe it is, the reason why he's been holding off on some of the things that we thought should have been taken care of. There's a long list of them. All right. So once he activates that, I think that things are going to like really take off. I think we'll see movement, people being freed that are behind bars, and all kind of crazy stuff. So it's going to be challenging for some because they're still not open-minded to this. They see something that's wrong, instead of like the 100 things that are going great. They see one thing that they think should be fixed, and they focus on that, and they scream and yell, and it's not very helpful. Right? I learned that the hard way very early on in my career as a Navy SEAL. It's like, Jaco, if you don't have a solution, don't bitch. It's like, yes, Master Chief. So then that was actually good advice. So good advice so that I could keep advancing, and also good advice that I didn't ruffle some feathers, and also good advice that I started looking at things and finding solutions that really were very helpful, actually, to my community. And that's what we're trying to get you guys to get to. Coming up with activities and actions where you're involved in your communities and making some headway in taking down the deep state. Okay, guys, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, because that activates your pineal gland in your heart, and you have basically the mind heart connection. All right. And then you connect with God, and God gives you answers. Right? So just ask. They're out there. Stay in the love vibration, and that basically frees you from the control system, because the control system is a control system of fear, negativity, anger, and so forth. So being in the love vibration, you break free from the controllers, like I've been talking about in this whole show, and then it gives you insights, great insights. Gosh, my wife has like been coming up so many great insights. I was like, dang, what? Well, she's always done that, but she's really, really coming out with them now. So I think a lot of us are really getting activated, and so it's a great time to be alive. A lot of people that have been on my shows have been saying that the coming year is going to be very transformative. So it's very, very it's a beautiful time. All right. Good night, Patriots, and stay in love vibration. We'll see you guys next time. Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So Juan O'Savin will be joining us in a little bit. And so we're going to be talking about Venezuela airspace basically being penetrated by F-18 Hornets. Probably because I heard him talking about it on Nino's show, because he sent out a text to a bunch of us. Nino wanted to jump right on with him, but probably get some more insights from Juan maybe on this. So I think that this is probably they're supporting special forces movement within Venezuela. That's what and the tier one guys usually get the big jets like that, and they can move on a dime. They can travel anywhere on Venezuela in seconds, right? So they're in the Gulf of Venezuela. And it's I'll pull up the screen so you guys can see that. But it is, I think it's very interesting. You know, we're getting to see, you know, exactly what's going on. So here's the Gulf right there. I didn't went there very quickly, right? So now if you look out here, here's Aruba. I was in Aruba, I guess about 3 years ago with a LifeWave event. So it's right off the coast of Venezuela. And so Caribbean, you know, right there in the Caribbean. So here is the Gulf of Venezuela, where that little red dot is. So somewhere in here possibly is where Maduro is. So if Maduro is within that area, then we're probably got special forces groups trying to get him, right? And they're probably really close to actually acquiring him. So F-18s, you know, like I said, pretty high speed jet, can bring a lot of missiles and so forth to bear very quickly. So it'd be very devastating if they actually got involved. So very interesting time. Very interesting, you know, what's going on with you know, Venezuela, Maduro, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll just have to keep our eye on this and see, you know, where it goes. So F-18s. Let me pull up real quick what the background on that. And you guys might remember I said that I thought that they were going to send Trump would probably go into Colombia, Mexico, maybe even Brazil. So the Daily Mail right now has Trump sends shockwaves through Latin America as he hints 2 more nations are in his sights for a Venezuela-style crackdown. Trump did not rule out expanding U.S. military operation beyond Venezuela to Mexico and Colombia. So we're going after the cartels. The cartels are running a lot of the Democrat cities and states. One of those being, of course, Colorado. Colorado did not want Trump to be in the most recent 2024 election. Remember that? There were a lot of states where like they were going to disqualify him because he was involved in J6. And so that didn't work out so good. All right. Supreme Court said, naughty, you can't do that. You little corrupt state, you bad governor, you. So it is, of course, we have Tina Peters there because she exposed the Dominion voting machine manipulation that happened in Colorado. So they put her in prison for, you know, helping out the people of Colorado and the people of America and really the world overall, because there's 72 different countries that have been manipulated through Dominion voting machine fraud. All right. So the fraud goes far. And we'll probably see not only will we go into Venezuela to basically get Maduro and the cartels out of there, and Mexico and Colombia and probably Brazil, but also we're going in there to expose the voting fraud. And that leads back to Colorado, back to Tina Peters, right? So it's going to be very interesting going forward. And if we don't see resolution, I think by, I don't know, early part of next year, it's not going to make for a very good July 4th celebration in 2026, which is the 250th anniversary of independence from Britain. Of course, Juan has actually talked about how we're still pretty much at war with Britain. Britain is still controlling things, and this is about basically breaking free from Britain. Oh, that's a beautiful blanket there, Juan.
Oh yeah, yeah. We love that, man.
Oh,
I'm
look,
even wearing my Megador shorts, man.
Nice. That's the first
I
time
have
I
fun
see
at
that
the
boots
pool.
on.
Well, Mrs. Seven gets a little animated when I track sand in from outside in my shoes. So I'm
Okay.
not wearing my boots or my shoes right now to save my life. Otherwise, I'll be scrubbing the floors on my hands and knees with a
So I'm
toothbrush.
holding up my Juan blanket too. Yeah, Magador.
Well, it is Japanese style too, by the way, just so I know. Oh my gosh.
Very nice. Looks like a little tropical location there. Nice.
Yeah, we got the trees outside and all that. Yeah, so I'll go out and show the beach in a little bit here. I was just cooling down for a minute. Boy, what's going on? Oh my gosh! If people, it's busting loose right this second. Just so you know.
Yeah, FA-18 Super Hornets over the Gulf of Venezuela.
Well, and what they did is they were top cover while they were bringing out the real president of Venezuela, Maria Machado, and Maduro, needs to be in fear because we got her out of the way, so she's safe. And now other fun and exciting things can begin to happen there, believe you me. So she was exfiltrated. If anybody so much as passed gas, those Super Hornets would have, I know those guys were all excited, ready to do some fireworks. I can guarantee you that. When they were out there, by the way, so they brought their airspeed down to about 205. And they were just, that's like, these are bricks, okay? You can only go so slow in them. And they're out there at 205, just hanging where they can be seen off in the distance, waiting for anything to happen, and those things, should they go vertical, they got so much thrust. But they could change zip codes in seconds. So, it would have been fairly dramatic, and probably will be before this is over at this point.
Yeah. So I was just telling the audience that with those jets out there like that, sounds like back in the old days when I was in SEAL Team 6 and we had air cover for operations we were doing. So I figured maybe there was something going on out there. So Venezuela's Maria Machado, she's the Nobel Peace Prize winner and opposition to Maduro. So that's and she even said that this belongs to Trump. They're very generous of her, but this is very interesting. She could be the next president of Venezuela. How about that?
Well, technically, she won the election probably. At some level, and so it's arguable that she isn't already the president. But we'll go in there. Again, everything that's about to happen, and I've told your audience this before. The most important thing Trump will do in his entire time in public office is declare a national election emergency and then take actions related to that. And it's not just for the United States. It's for all these other countries around the world who similarly have people in office that are not the will of their people. They're there through election fraud. Counterfeit ballots, electronic and paper. And so starting where it all started with the electronic machine, Smartmatic, and everything since. Tina was put back in solitary yesterday. I don't know if your viewers know this. She was put back in solitary yesterday for her own safety. Then, allegedly, yeah. And then my supervisor was making sure I got everything in.
Yeah, mine does that with me sometimes too.
I'll get the frantic hand signal I have to mute, and then I'll get an extra piece of something, and I'll put it back on. When you're at a switchboard, it's easy to just hit the mute switch, the mute button. You can get something, go right back at it, right? But anyway, no. So she's put back in solitary, and you have to understand solitary. They have light on there, and it's not a dim light. They got this, 190,000 watt light bulb in there. Cameras so that you can't kill yourself. And it's on 24/7. You get fed through a slot in the door. And then in Tina's particular situation, she is allowed to go out for 2 hours and then use her computer. But the rest of the time, she's just sitting there in her cell, looking at the walls, and she's pissed. And in a certain way, she had to do a drug test the other day because they randomly picked her for another drug test. Amazing. She gets picked more than any other inmate. And like she's, getting her meth, out of somebody's house that just came in or whatever. Right. So she went to go do this. You have to report. When you get there, amazingly, nobody's ready to take your drug test. They have to have guards that move you. They get you over there. You're going to do your drug test. They sit you there for, 3, 4, 5 hours. No chairs. You got to sit on the concrete floor or something. And then you finally get to the drug test. Well, by the time they get to her, she didn't have anything to pee. She's dehydrated. She can't even get enough spittle to satisfy him. She's trying to spit, and it's just as dry as could be. And so she's dehydrated. Well, when people get dehydrated like that, especially older people, you can have a stroke. You can have a heart attack that's, because you're dehydrated. When you're that dehydrated, there should be some, okay, this is an indicator we got to do something more or whatever. And so then they were pissed at her about that. Like she's somehow resisting what they want to do. And then the other thing that happened when they threw her into solitary yesterday, and I know a lot of people have kind of mentioned this out there, but they didn't get this one little extra detail. If they're going to move her or do something else, they'll let her have time to pack her stuff up and put it in storage or whatever, because she's not going to be in her cell. Somebody else is there. And by the way, the cell she was in is like 5 by 9. Literally there's 2 inmates in their upper lower bed, and only one person can be standing up at a time. One person has to be laying down. It used to be where they had a washer dryer. And so she's in this moldy room that's the smallest room in their cell block. And that's where she's assigned with this other person, bumping into each other. But then what happens next is she doesn't get to pack her stuff up. Everywhere else she's at, she packs her own stuff up. The guards came in and packed up all of her stuff. And so, in other words, she didn't get to pack it up. Is she being moved somewhere? Are they planning on keeping her in solitary permanently? You don't get the same stuff in solitary you do out in the rest, areas. And so, it's just bizarre. Now, here's the other thing that I will tell you. For anybody out there and they're cussing and swearing and beating their fist in the air, Trump, blah, 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 listen. President knows in excruciating detail what the situation is with Tina right now and is praying for her. It's like Nebuchadnezzar outside the lion's den when Daniel's in there and praying through the night, Daniel, are you okay? Yes, an angel came and shut the mouths of the lions. I lived through the night. I know that Trump is sweating bullets for Tina, but when Tina got so pissed, got her blood pressure up, that kind of fight helps you just to hang on a little bit longer. She may be despondent and everything else. They're still fighting her. She's pissed off. And uh, Trump is working diligent. Uh, Trump is working diligently, but he cannot blow certain other moves that he has in place.
Yeah.
And as much as it sounds like he should just do this or that or something else, well, for those that, there may be other stuff he could do. It doesn't mean that it's without consequences or doesn't have other ramifications. Or even in any sport, if you telegraph your next moves too precisely, the other team anticipates and goes and blocks you off. It's this art of war, and you have to kind of dodge and dive and everything else. Now, I can tell you that I know what the next move is. I'm very comfortable, but nobody in the mainstream and nobody at Congress and nobody of President Trump's enemies is actually listening to us because they don't think it's really possible precisely. But Trump is going to sign a national emergency order related to elections. Even when I've told your audience and others that this is imminent, they haven't actually grasped the full magnitude of this. As I've said, this crisis is worldwide. Now, we've got Maria out of harm's way. We know other countries where drama has happened: South Korea, South Africa, other countries across South America, Brazil, etc., where election manipulation has been occurring. It's not just the presidents and governors and things like that. It's all down the ballot. Here in America, seriously, okay, you can be as left as you want to be. You can be as off the rocks as you want to be. As messed up as Los Angeles is at some level, do you really think Los Angeles, which was a very red county, Los Angeles County back in the Reagan era and stuff like that, do you really think that Los Angeles County elected a mayor, Karen Bass, the one who was presiding when the fires happened at Palisades? Do you really think that LA County had lost it that much that they elected a person who was going to rallies in Cuba, illegally, I might add, and praising Fidel Castro as this amazing, great leader? Oh, fearless leader, I love you. Oh, you're so wonderful. Stand out there in the beating sun for 4 hours to listen to his stupid ass speech where he's mumbling over all his words. Okay. But he's the greatest. And then the people of LA hire her to be their mayor. Are you serious? Come on, man. They didn't elect her. That was vote fraud. In fact, the recount or the recall of Newsom, by the way, we have the data. We know the truth. Newsom was recalled. Watch what happens. So, in the context of a national election emergency, 2 days later, he goes to Cheyenne Mountain, does a walkthrough. They've been working on it for a couple of years, revamping it, renewing it, rebuilding it. He asked the general there, did you get everything you needed? Is everything in place? Is there anything you haven't got now? And general says, nope, we have everything we asked for. It's all installed. It's there, all resupplied and everything else. And he goes to the press and he says, out of an abundance of caution, because we may just have been attacked. We may even be at war right now and not realize it yet. So out of an abundance of caution, I'm going to order that the mountain be shut up. In fact, I just ordered it a moment ago, and they're shutting it up as we speak. Okay? So Biden says, no, we're opening the mountain back up during his term. Oh, really? Did the mountain ever actually open up? It's never been opened up. Trump had all those generals gathered in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And then the key moment in his whole speech, he's getting all of these people, why in the world did he drag them all out there? What was the point of that? What was it? Just a cheer rally meeting with the generals or whatever? They called them from all their commands all over the world. Get your ass in here. And then he's standing there and he says, I am 45, 46, and 47. And you got generals keeping their heads just straight forward, rolling their eyes in their head, looking at their buddies next to them, nudging them with a little teeny nudge, the tiniest nudge you have. Did you just hear what he just said? Do you hear what that lunatic just said? What the fuck is he talking about? He's 46. Well, they never got nuclear command, nuclear and beyond. Okay, that's what a Q clearance is all about. It's an energy department clearance, by the way, not a Department of Defense. Well, he said you run the Pentagon. No, let those guys run that shit. He's running the more important stuff. Who has the bigger gun? Whoever's got nuclear. So now Trump is about to do the most important thing that he will do during his entire time in public office since he came out into the government side of operations. And he's going to declare a national emergency related to elections. Brace yourselves. All the things that everybody hears, but why doesn't he do this? Well, he could just do that. He could do this other thing. He'd arrest those people. He could get Tina out. He could do this other stuff. Watch what the fuck happens next. Because it's far broader. He'll be operating in his role as commander-in-chief, not merely president. And when he does that, there's things that need to be done all over the world because it was foreign interference in our elections. Those locations from which the foreign interference occurred need to be dealt with, like the server farm in Serbia, which is half owned by Brennan, former director of CIA, and the wealthiest man in Serbia. Co-own that property. Other locations. And by the way, Cuba's in here. You think Cuba's going to be able to skate free? Maduro got offered a little offer. He could go to a tropical location with the palm trees, enjoy the rest of his life, have his gazillion dollars he's ripped off the people with, and live. But he didn't take the choice. Clock's already expired. He's there for the duration. So Maduro's about to have a bad hair day. He can either be taken into custody and probably spend the rest of his natural life at some facility that we've arranged for him, or he can get to judgment sooner, go to a higher court. The great white throne judgment awaits, and he can sit in a hellish cell in the meantime until he gets called for his divine appointment. But it's about to happen. And when you think of election crisis within a national emergency, you can do stuff over at the Justice Department. You can do all these various things. Justice Department isn't going to be arresting the Clintons or the Obamas in a national election emergency and where they've contributed and done treasonous things trying to block Trump's first presidency and to steal the election in the second. You think they're going to go to some detention center and get brought before a judge and get out on personal recognizance and bail and get to go sit over there in England or any of these other countries they supposedly are going to go to? Are you kidding me? You think that guy is that lame? Watch. Drama is just ahead. Look at what happened today in the silver markets. I told your listeners the other day, brace yourselves, it's going significantly up. Radically more than gold did over the last week. Okay, radically more than other stuff. The cryptos, struggling to hold at 90,000. Okay, silver up 10% in a week and headed further north. Today people are like, oh my gosh, it is real. Juan knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah, it
what's
was
the
over
reason?
$61 a day, so probably heading for 70 plus.
Yes, exactly as I said. Okay. So, but think about this, Michael.
Mhm.
What's causing that precisely? There's all sorts of pressure. Is it the financial stuff? Is it, by the way, silver made a hard move this morning after the weekend, way before any news was out there about what was going on in Venezuela and the aircraft going in. Why? Because people anticipate behind the scenes. People know they call their relative. Yeah, it's going to be on, man. We just evacuated the person that we're going to help get into the office of the presidency. It was we take out Maduro.
Nice.
Okay. What's the other shoe that's going to fall? The rest of the fight and other locations. Remember, Ramaphosa is trying to come up against Trump. Next on the list, after we get Venezuela halfway under our belts, go deal with the Franken dictator over there in South Africa. The election machine system out of Serbia, before it was used in the U.S. 2020 election, gosh, you got to test this thing because they moved out of Venezuela to go to Serbia and they had to make sure everything's working right. So where was it used? It was used a year earlier. So they had plenty of time to work out any bugs, whistles, whatever it is they needed. They went over to Franken, South Africa and cooked that election. Ramaphosa isn't in there legally. He's in there through fraud. All of those billionaires that are doing all the mining up in Congo and other places and literally gutting the South African economy. Mercedes, they're leaving. Goodyear picked up and left, just closed up the doors overnight. That was one of their biggest industries there. The whole place is getting, gutted because they changed these laws trying to, have reverse discrimination, with the blacks like that. And so they call them coloreds overnight in South Africa. That was one of their. So the drama ahead, bro. I mean, it's going to be so the metals and the financial stuff. We haven't even got to kicking the Brits in the ass on the financial stuff. So it's just getting rolling right now. So anyway, somebody brought me something cool here. So
Yummy.
Yeah, it's got let's see what's on there. It's got a. Oh, there you go. Raw goat cheese. Oh, that's an olive. I thought it was a walnut. So it looks good.
Walnuts? Okay. I thought it might have been caviar, but yeah.
Yeah, that would have worked too.
So yeah, that's very interesting. You seem to be close to the action there. I don't know, that tropical island. I was in Aruba a few years ago, so great place right off the coast of Venezuela. So who knows what's going to happen there in Venezuela? But do you really think that we're going to hammer them, or we're just going to get Maduro out and then it's going to be turn over to somebody that's going to take Venezuela in the right direction?
Well, the one thing that I think people have to understand, we made a $50 million bounty for a reason. Mm-hmm. Who's going to collect on that? It's not going to be the maid at Maduro's mansion. It's going to be a general or a combination of generals that are protecting him. And they will have to, you know what it was like when we went into Iraq or Afghanistan. We had, black SUVs with the team members. And I remember one of my guys there, they had a C-17 came in, had just piles of cash in these duffel bags.
Yep.
And $5 million a bag. And so they're supposed to go out and deliver them to all the warlords and generals and all that.
Right.
And so They're out on the tarmac, engines running on the plane because it's a hot drop. They're going to get everything out, and they're going to leave immediately. They don't want to sit on the runway. So they're loading up these Suburbans, and one of the Suburbans ahead of them, because he had a little bit bigger player in there, they couldn't take. I think it was 12 duffel bags, $5 million apiece, $60 million.
Wow.
But they had a bigger member, so they only took 11, if I remember the numbers right.
Mhm.
And the next one, they're trying to put in one more duffel bag, and this loadmaster on the C-17 is out there trying to supervise, get this on there. And one of the operators says, F no, we are not taking 13 duffel bags. I can't operate safely with one more duffel bag, because you have to have room to maneuver if you get attacked or anything, even if you're in an armored rig, right?
Yeah.
So he throws it out. The loadmaster is saying, no. They leave a duffel bag on the tarmac. He said, I can't take this back. I don't have authority. I'm supposed to leave it off. You guys are supposed to take so many. Those guys in that other SUV should have taken the other duffel bag. And so the plane's rolling down the runway. The guy gets in it. They're closing up the ramp. And the guys in the truck drive off. There's $5 million in a duffel bag sitting in the middle of the runway.
Damn.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, that is what's worth more, my life or that stupid duffel bag with $5 million of fiat cash, right? And but they'll use that money to buy friends. And that 50 million, if there's one of the generals, there's one of the politicians close to Maduro, or the accountant, whoever decides they want to live comfortably somewhere, they can give that extra piece of information that allows them to be taken safely, or some combination of the guys, which is more likely. We all get 5 million each. Here's Maduro, and we'll help you with resettling the country, or we'll leave the country. Can you send a jet to pick us up right now? And I got the wife and kids. That's what'll happen. They'll take the deal. And if they don't, there'll be a hot flash. He can go comfortably, see justice here or see justice in the next world, and that's going to be, you're just taking it to a higher court, enjoy the show.
Interesting. Yeah. So, what do you think the time frame for it is? Is it very close?
It's very, very close. So, dealing with the look, Trump has been holding on the Tina situation, my opinion, for that emergency, national security emergency order. Then he won't probably do it at the exact same time. It'll be probably 24 to 48 hours later that he will declare or issue the executive order related to it, because he wants to let the press assemble, let the diners assemble. And then when he signs the executive order concerning how the 2026 election is going to be done, whether it's a couple of days or a week or two later, I think it'll be a couple of days, that sets the tone for everything else, because what is first, you need to have the discussion. Why a national emergency? Well, the elections were frauded. 2020, it's not over yet. And the Matador, in the last 5 minutes of round 3, the Megador shows up. It's going to be epic. I mean, in a bullfight, you have to tire the bull out in order to get the head dropped down. See, when the head's down like this, what happens is it splits the shoulder blades out. They get wider through the chest. You can't get it from the neck. You weaken the bull, you weaken the shoulders in a bullfight by the toreadors get in there and they do things to weaken the bull in the shoulder area. Then as the head gets down, which is the most dangerous part of the bullfight. When the head's high and they're prancing around and have a lot of energy to charge, as they get weaker and more tired, the head gets down. And then they just are so tired, they just move the head back and forth and catch a bullfighter with a horn. You'll see them get flipped in the air and like that. And they can literally, because of right where they're at, they'll get a femoral artery oftentimes, and the bullfighter's dead in less than a minute. So this is the most dangerous part of the bullfight, because you have to get close enough to the bull to bring the sword in right between the shoulder blades straight to the heart. And when you do that, then you get a clean, quick kill. And but as the bullfight goes on, bulls aren't marathon runners. And so they get tired and tired. A bull sometimes just lay down in front haunches and just lay down. They're so exhausted. So the bullfighter, a lot of times they'll get down on one knee, both knees, bait the bull to come get them, to do one more charge, getting the timing precisely right. The most important thing he'll do in public office is this emergency order regarding elections. It's the most important thing, but the timing, is so crucial. And once you go to that national emergency related to elections, and then you do the executive order concerning all the criteria, how the election is going to have to be done, have to start from scratch on the voter rolls. You have to go re-register to vote, no existing voter rolls used, and you have to do it with government-issued ID. And then you show where you live, verify that, and sign on the dotted line under penalty of perjury that the information you're giving is true. And the person that receives countersigns it is any of the clerks within a county vote registration system, and they're all notaries. So they notarize your signature on your voter registration card. Now they can even do that on the day of the election, but there's not going to be any mail-in ballots except in extremely limited extreme situations and for military. No votes counted late that come in after election day, and then 1 day vote. Trump has said maybe 2 days. We'll see how he does that. I think it's going to be a 1 day vote. Day vote counted where cast, and then how he does that. 1 day vote counted where cast, precincts of 1,500 or less, no drop boxes. And the counted where casting is important because they're not trying to transport in the trunk of a police car, supposedly a magic act, it's safe, whatever. No, you're gonna have a real vote. The real people are gonna show up, and when that happens, the country's gonna go deep red. Okay, and you've just killed all the bullshit. Steps that follow, such as the executive order concerning how the votes run, other executive orders and executive actions related to Venezuela, Serbia, other locations. And then, how many times have you and I got beaten up to the moon? I haven't seen anybody getting arrested yet. Nobody's going to Gitmo. Nothing's happening. Well, when you do it in the context of this national election emergency, now you can go out and start picking people up and not go through normal law enforcement operations of Justice Department, etc., where there has been treasonous, traitorous activity related to election fraud and people being in office under fraudulent circumstances through frauded elections. If Trump says he's 46, oh, well, if you're 46, then who screwed with things to make it so somebody else got there that wasn't the right person? Who all was in on that? They got a lot of space over at Gitmo. When they run out of space there, you got a lot of space over at Guam. It's even bigger. Oh my gosh, what they've been doing at Guam. Oh man, you have no idea. And then you got Diego Garcia. You got a couple other spots around the place.
Wow.
if we're really pissed with somebody, we won't send them to Antarctica. That'd be paradise. But we got places in Arctic locations that will, we might even do a little bit of jet fuel therapy, with a little diesel thrown in and around. We'll rotate them around once in a while if we feel like it. See how that feels. So it's gonna be pretty amazing, and those arrests will follow within the context of this national emergency. And then finally, the last part of this that everybody needs to be aware of. The real fight domestically is you have a whole bunch of players in public office in certain agencies who their allegiance isn't specifically to that agency or even to the United States government as such. They're in a continuity and government operations, senior executive service, and they're the shadow government. Every time Cheney had a fake heart attack, and then they asked him a question. Well, I was actually running the shadow government. He's laughing about it, but he's actually serious, helping do stuff over at SCS. You have senators, congressmen, judges, all on the payroll of senior executive service, continuity and government operation, as though they supposedly are there to maintain peace and order and blah 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 between elected administrations. Well, they're acting like because Trump was supposedly put in office by the Russians, that they're totally justified in defying anything he says and doing it. Well, it's projection. It's the exact opposite.
Wow,
So
that's how they did that. Interesting.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and they've been planning this. This goes back.
That's how they took out JFK, because he was talking to the Russians.
That's right, and build the tunnel up there in Alaska, okay, and or the bridge or whatever you want to call it. Would have been a tunnel, but the short version too on that is this: when Frank Church was a congressman from Idaho, and he led a group that wanted to bring to light some of the misdeeds that were going on with the CIA and things that were happening around Nixon, and what the CIA was doing, trying to start and execute a war, for example, in Indonesia. The allegations at the time that were being fought, they were going from South America and moving over to Indonesia, and they never fully got to Indonesia because it was too fresh with Vietnam and like that. But CIA, what Obama's mama was doing, Stanley Ann Dunham, she was helping to document the population, the bloodlines, the families, and their political ties across Indonesia in the mid-60s. And then they had this huge blow up in Indonesia. And depending on which historian you're reading, between 1 and 5 million people, when you switch from Suharto to Sukarno, the two presidents. And Suharto said at a certain moment that Sabud, a religious organization, which Obama's mama belonged to, was actually a CIA front. And they were trying to remove him from the presidency, covertly affect the elections, and then put Sukarno into office. And, again, election fraud going all the way back then, with CIA involved, in other countries, all the banana republics across South America. Well, Frank Church had the church committee hearings in Washington, D.C., and that's when all the family jewels were exposed over at CIA and stuff that they'd been involved in, all the mischief they were involved in. And so with that in mind, the hearings were closed soon enough. We didn't even get into the worst stuff. That's when we heard about drug testing on civilians and, LSD and things like that to see what would happen with individuals and small populations. There's stuff that has still not been brought forward. I was in a meeting, dinner in 75, And one of the people present was a person that was involved in the Disneyland stuff and Club 33. And he was describing a situation then where they had drugged half the people at this dinner, and the other half were there watching how people acted and reacted to note it. And I apologize. I got a call coming. Let me just send this to. And I apologize on that. Anyway, he was describing how they did a whole group with an LA thing, and that one of the women had a horrible reaction. She wasn't as big as a lot of the other people. She was very slight, very small, and the dose appeared to have been higher than she got. And she was on a trip for days before she finally came back to her senses. That was all done by CIA. There's lots of stuff we still haven't heard, and of course, that's part of the stuff with the Snowden stuff more recently, and even stuff going into WikiLeaks like that. So we have a lot of disclosures yet ahead of us. But in the Carter administration, in the aftermath of the Church Committee hearings, George Bush Sr. was still head of the CIA there, a businessman. He'd been over in China as our business liaison because we didn't have an ambassador to China under Nixon. He comes back and, oh, that's fantastic. I just got a piece of very important news that I can't tell you. So then, as we came out of the Church Committee hearings, George Bush is director of CIA. He's the one that leads the way to get 2 executive orders that protect intelligence covert operations going out in the future. And the first one was the creation of the Inspector General's office, which controls the flow of money, and turns on the spigot or turns off the spigot at all these various government agencies. And that's, it's done by executive order, create this Inspector General's office, supposedly control the intelligence and military industrial complex and all that. Then the second thing is they create the Senior Executive Service, which is about continuity in government. And of course, the question being, Nixon, when he was having to be taken out of office, and General Haig, remember, I'm in charge here. Things like that, Kennedy assassination, whatever, different things. Who's actually running things in some type of a crisis event for attack? And so Senior Executive Service was to build out an infrastructure in the background that if something horrid happened or between elections, as one group is going out and another group's coming in, they'd maintain continuity in government between these elected civilian operations. And Senior Executive Service has completely gone off the rails. Unknown budget. They can pay anybody any amount of money they want. They managed the creation of Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg's a DARPA operation, LifeLog. And he was handed on a silver platter. He didn't create Facebook. And by the way, Bitcoin is a creation of DARPA. When there was so much money in Facebook, this black bag operation with this cheesy player, the director, owner, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, Zuckerberg's wife, Chinese, is even wealthier than he is. Think about that for a minute. But they had to bleed some of the money out of Facebook somewhere. So they had this supposed trial. Remember how Zuckerberg was like not even paying attention. He's drawing, scribbling, care less. Why? Because he knew it was all put on. The Winklevoss brothers, who supposedly also invented Facebook, look, if Zuckerberg didn't invent it, it was DARPA. The Winklevoss twins couldn't have invented it. And so what's going on here? Well, they needed money for their Bitcoin mining operations, so they got a payoff from Facebook, all legit. Then they go up to George Washington, buy a bunch of operations, the DoD thing, and allegedly are doing mining, getting paid to mine. And by the way, for this backup power supply system for the Grand Coulee Dam system. The short version of all of that is that these operations, Inspector General's office and Senior Executive Service, were funding and channeling money, turning the spigot on and off for these operations that were really the hijacking of the helm of the ship of state of America. And they have become so powerful that the only way to stop them, as I've told your audience before, but it bears repeating right now, there will be a face-off, and there will be allegedly missiles flying, just like you had in Hawaii, most likely, where the computer systems had to scram, and then on an emergency basis, over an hour, twice, downloaded from all the federal and military computers everything that they had, including during that hour, back to a mainland location within the NORAD defense system, and including all of the access codes, including for special access projects, as though the people involved back at NORAD, everything going on, doesn't matter what your secret code is that you put in, we get it all. That, I believe, is what happens on the mainland and again out in the islands and other locations around the world in some kind of a missile standoff, Cuban Missile type crisis, where it appears missiles are in the air. And all those systems have to scram. And when they do, it doesn't matter what they've tried to do in the interim, the codes were locked. When Trump sealed up Cheyenne Mountain, which is the core of our missile defense system, everybody in there has a Q clearance. They locked all of those systems in a continuity of government operation to the NORAD side of continuity in government, which goes back to 54 and the beginning of the nuclear age, versus SES, which happened under Carter with the Inspector Generals and the SES 78 and 79, those two executive orders that hijacked control of the country. Carter was really only a tiny bit better than Biden in that he was a useful tool for these globalista to put themselves into the right position. And then you move forward in time. Who managed the Oklahoma city building? I think it'll be very readily found to have been SES. Even this fraud.
You mentioned Bill Barr. Other stuff about Bill Barr, where they're basically they're already getting everything ready to prosecute President Trump before the last election fraud. They're already getting it ready. Wow, he's going to really be held accountable, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Barr is within that circle of SIGI, continuity in government, their council and like that. They go by SIGI, and yeah, let's go smoke that SIGI. Those people. I mean, I will tell you, those people that have hijacked control of the country through various frauds and manipulations, including cooperating with the fraud of the 2020 election and the Russia stuff. They are going to have a rough hair day now for the rest of their lives. Once this executive order is signed, things will change. And, Obama's over there in England kissing up to those guys. By the way, the British Commonwealth side of this continuity and government operation, where these globalists are coordinating their actions, that's Serco. Serco is the equivalent of RSCS and controlling, the intelligence agencies, everything else. And by the way, you probably remember this. A lot of us were like, what in the world are they talking about? This is insane. when they were talking about merging all the intelligence gathering operations into under one roof, which is what happened after 9/11, another SES covered operation. Um, uh, why? Because now you centralized everything. It was easier to control stuff, right? So send Matt a note. It'll be there in 5 minutes because they have opening. If you would, please. So that's the kind of stuff that's going to come out, and um, think about that under the auspices of continuity in government. 9/11 happened. The Paradise and Palisades fires, Maui, and 100 other fires that you haven't heard the name of, that were where very advanced military weapons were used, not just against Americans, but places all over the world for this club's purposes, to steal all the money from everybody, everywhere, all the time. This is a much bigger battle, and it's my contention that the most important first real shot across the bow that's going to hit armor, go through a deck plate, in at the waterline, is what Trump's about to do with this emergency executive order. Now, we've been lobbing stuff across the decks. We've been, making big, loud noises and all that. This is the one that hits them in really core places. If you get an honest election, they're toast.
Oh yeah.
You have honest paper ballots, no electronics. Trump is not going to have one machine in this. In fact, one of the big things that we've heard for months, and I actually dealt with one of the groups directly, personally, and asked for a very specific thing and got what they just damn well wanted to do, which wasn't where we're going. Hand count paper ballot and all the problems with the machines. And they came back and says, well, all the machines that are currently there are bad and there's nothing else out there, but we came up with one. So we've got a machine that we want to use. Trump, they were opportunistic, was Trump's exact words. They wanted to do it their way, and they're going to go make a buck, feather their nest through retirement, and manage this whole thing. No, just like France. Hand count paper ballot, counted where cast, 1 day vote. Okay? It's about to happen. And that guy right there is about to bring you back to honest elections in America. And once we get ours under control, the rest of the world, it's going to be unbelievable. So anyway, I've got another show I've got to do with my chief of staff here, Matt Meck. And, he's doing a fantastic job too. In fact, if you wanted to have him on your show, you might want to ask him about his history back in the Fast and Furious stuff, which is also going to be part of this as we get into going after election integrity and the national election emergency. Fast and Furious is going to come back. Watch what happens.
Wow, sounds great. Look, I took a look in the description box, All Patriots, gumroad.com, and the Jennifer Mack. And
and I'm probably going to have to up those silver prices depending on what's going on in the market right now. So I probably won't do it for at least several hours or maybe overnight again. And I do expect silver up there at 70 before it kind of hits the wall this cycle. And I've said that. I said it on your show, weeks and weeks ago. And and I said that back when it was in the mid 30s, that the next, we'd get in that 40 range and bounce around there for a bit, and then it was going to break loose and go to 70, and that's where it's at. And even that's not a stop. There's so much pressure within the banking system. And by the way, when the Fed lowers interest rates on Wednesday, as they're most likely to do, everybody believes it, that will also bring up metals prices. Again, why would you sit on these low interest things with all the risk in the markets? Okay. So
all right.
Anyway, that's the situation.
Thanks so much for coming in and giving us the update. That's fantastic. Good to hear.
Well, and I apologize. This is one of the shorter shows we do. I like to kind of get into all the weeds, but I hope there was enough there for people that, I just want everybody kind of understanding the context of things, including, you know, we got to pray Tina through this. She's in a desperate situation. It would be horrid to be that person. And how, you know, she has nothing to hang her hat on. We can't even tell her some of the stuff going on the outside. So she's just got to trust that people have her back and that it's not all just talk. And that's really hard to hang on in that kind of situation. By the way, I sent a letter out to all of my Gumroad customers, on my mailing list Sunday about the Battle of the Bulge and correlations that I see there with persons and ideas to Tina's situation. And it was put out in a couple places, and they only put about half of it out there. Well, without the end, you don't understand why I'm tying it together the way it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, they were going to bleed it out and get commercials and whatever. I give it for free. Anybody that's been a customer of mine over there, I send an email periodically to.
Yep. Yeah,
and I did that on the Tina Peters thing a little more intensely. Usually, sometimes it goes 6 months or 2 or 3 months, but I've been hard on it over the last several weeks because of the Tina Peters thing. And I apologize. And I sent that out. That article, I hope people will read that. I hope they understand it. And I don't want to even take away some of the stuff that's in there because most people have never heard what I've put in there. And so I want people to think about that and tie it to Tina Peters. We have people, men and women that have made such amazing sacrifices, and Tina has. Let's pray her through this and get her out free and get her healthy again. So there you go. Love you, bro.
All right. Yeah, Tracy and I love you, and Jen, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll talk to you again soon, hopefully.
Yeah. And by the way, that blanket's over at Jennifer Mack's store.
And that's a great one.
That blanket. I love that blanket.
Yeah, we do too.
My gosh. It's so comfortable.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right, bro. We'll talk soon.
All right, bro. Thanks.
All right.
Judy, note, things aren't getting worse, they're just being exposed. The worse things get, the easier it is to see who is awake, asleep, or evil. The worse things get, the easier it is to do the right thing. WHG Grandpa. United States Special Operations Forces are now in the final stages of coordinating mass arrests across the nation, targeting deep state operatives embedded in government, media, and corporate sectors who have long evaded justice for their crimes against humanity. Reliable sources within military intelligence confirm that over 500 high-profile indictments have been unsealed in the last 72 hours, including key figures in the financial cabal responsible for economic sabotage and human trafficking networks. Child rescue operations have intensified globally, with Delta teams extracting over 300 innocent souls from underground facilities in California and Nevada alone this weekend. The Emergency Broadcast System, EBS, activation looms imminently, 48 hours to blackout, or by Wednesday afternoon December 10, 2025. With preliminary tests completed on Monday 7th of December across all 50 states, signaling readiness for the nationwide alert that will expose the full extent of corruption to every American household. Military briefings indicate that the EBS will commence no later than Monday 15th of December, delivering President Trump's recorded address to the nation. My fellow Americans, what you are about to go through will be very painful, but trust the plan, victory is at hand. During this sacred interlude, global alliances will dismantle the last vestiges of tyranny, ensuring that no child suffers another day in silence. Watch for 10 Days of Darkness, where the military will take over all TV, radio, internet and other communication networks to show 8-hour documentaries 24/7 about the truth of what was really going on and why. The new republic that functioned under concepts of the original Constitution including common law will be announced at the end of the 10 Days of Darkness. Quantum Financial System, QFS, protocols have been fully integrated across 209 nations, securing asset-backed currencies against fraud and ensuring instantaneous, tamper-proof transactions. On Wednesday 10th of December, 2025 the revaluation, RV, of global currencies will officially launch, commencing with Tier 4B appointments for humanitarian projects. On Friday, December 12, 2025 NISR's implementation forgives all personal and national debts, while ushering in debt-free prosperity for every family, A covenant of restoration where the burdens of the past are lifted, and the meek inherit the earth. Beginning twos. December 16, 2025. This wealth transfer orchestrated by the St. Germain World Trust will redistribute trillions, with initial payouts for those with redemption codes, enabling the rebuilding of communities ravaged by engineered crises. Rates for the Iraqi dinar and other keys are locked at historic highs. 8. Timing, be prepared. Timing of a pending internet shutdown and 10 days of darkness throughout the world will be determined by a quantum computer's analysis of the entire international situation. The mainstream media will close down while people will be asked to stay indoors to watch documentaries explaining what was going on. B. Monday 8th of December. QFS Global Alert Tier 4B, Sovereign Ascension Protocol active, Quantum Financial System on Telegram Secure Floor, 6 o'clock Zulu. Global ISO 20022 Rainbow Currency Grid has evolved beyond overunity into perpetual quantum abundance. The concept of percentage complete has been deleted from every server on Earth. The grid is now the living heartbeat of the planet. The GCR/RV shotgun start became mathematically irreversible at 1914 Reno time on November 28, 2025, exactly 9 days, 10 hours, and 46 minutes ago. That timestamp is now taught to children in the new curriculum as Liberation Zero. Tier 4B milestones confirmed in the last 10 hours, straight from the master wall. 3,800,000 plus Tier 4B accounts upgraded overnight from redeemed to sovereign creator status with unlimited gold-backed digital certificate minting authority. Dragon Family Ancient Gold Vaults beneath Macau Masternode physically opened for the first time in 3,700 years. Live feed shows rivers of molten gold flowing into the planetary liquidity ocean. Humanitarian and infrastructure project. While it's auto-escalated to self-replicating status, every approved project now spawns 7 mirror projects instantly. Quantum entanglement security locks upgraded to galactic standard. Any remaining 0.0000003% dark signatures vaporized by Andromeda Council Tachyon pulse at 5:59 Zulu. Leaked Reno Master Control audio burst, 5:59 and 59 seconds Zulu, open channel. Every speaker on Earth heard it simultaneously for 3 seconds. This is the voice of the One. The simulation has ended. The kingdom has been restored. You are the wealth now. Walk as gods among men. It is done. The old world just ended. The new one is already funded, already ruling, already eternal. QFS Global Command, secure floor out. All eyes on the new Earth. It is glorious. Sinizar and Jazar activation timeline. Sunday, December 28, 2025, the old financial grid shows its first visible fractures. Settlement delays rise as quantum rails quietly take control. Thursday, 1 Jan. 2026, sovereign protocols begin sinking. Debt registers freeze. Gold-backed valuations enter internal calibration. Wednesday, 7 Jan. 2026, public phase alignment initiates. Notification channels open. The shift becomes impossible to hide. Monday, December 8, 2025 48-hour final countdown just started. 3 channels close forever when the blackout hits. 1. At 10 days of darkness, 2s. January 20, 2026 Internet dies, phones go EBS only. 2. At EBS_alert_live this week EBS goes live, Cabal arrests announced. If your device isn't set, you hear nothing. 3. At Gitmo now first 500 Gitmo flights tracked, executions during blackout, no more delays. Monday, December 8, 2025 global operations are accelerating and the real story is not on television, WH Grandpa on Telegram. While the media floods America with distractions, political theater, and staged outrage, the real shift is happening out of sight. What unfolded this week was not random chaos. It was cover for something much larger moving beneath the surface. Behind every headline, something else was happening. Private intel confirms that bond fund deliveries to paymasters accelerated with unprecedented speed. The flow was so intense that several teams had to rotate around the clock just to keep up. This is not a test run. This is what a controlled global realignment looks like. Private appointments have already begun. Not upcoming. Not preparing. Begun. Those who organize their projects and position themselves early are the ones being contacted first. This phase is not about waiting. It is about readiness. And here is what the public does not understand. Straight cash exchanges are over. The new system operates through structured wealth placement, secure accounts, and advisory oversight. Every individual will direct their funds into protected channels, guided by specialists tied directly to Treasury and QFS infrastructure. While Americans are distracted by market swings, congressional drama, celebrity-generated noise, and manufactured social conflict, the actual machinery of transition is already in motion. These events were not accidental. They were synchronized. The public sees confusion. We see cover. The truth behind this week is simple. The system is shifting faster than they want you to realize. Restored Republic. Fraudulent claim that the United States is not operating as a corporate entity or under commercial administration. Failure to distinguish de jure from de facto government. Joseph Anthony Low. 03. One cannot serve two masters, the Constitution and the corporation. Fraud vitiates everything. See United States v. Throckmorton, 98 U.S. 61, 1878. Exposing the corporate veil, operational evidence of foreign administrative overlay disguised as government. It is a principle of law that one cannot serve two masters, and no lawful government may operate in duality, claiming both sovereign immunity and foreign commercial registration. Yet the present regime that purports to act as the United States government functions not as a de jure constitutional body politic, but as a registered commercial enterprise operating under international commercial law, banking treaties, and foreign-controlled bonding systems. The record shows that every major federal agency, including the White House, DOJ, IRS, DoD, and judicial branches, are registered in the DUNS system, identified by Commercial and Government Entity, CAGE, codes, and subject to the financial oversight of foreign-controlled interests such as the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and the Bank for International Settlements. A sovereign government has no requirement to register as a vendor for profit. Yet the following entities are registered with D, U, N, S, numbers: United States Government, 0527141996. White House, 0374044123. Department of Justice, 0405358809. Federal Bureau of Investigation, 0392561665. Unified Judicial System, South Dakota, 627,496,318. These entries are prima facie evidence of corporate function. See #R below for full document. Monday, December 8, 2025. Smartphones worldwide were quietly infected with Israeli malware hidden in ads, giving the surveillance company Alexa full access to cameras, microphones, chat apps, emails, GPS locations, photos, files, and browsing activity. Mega King on Telegram. Monday, December 8, 2025. Just in, U.S. State Department issues emergency travel warning for U.S. citizens to avoid all travel within 50 kilometers of the Thailand-Cambodia border due to significant escalation in the conflict between the two countries. Monday, December 8, 2025. Well. They followed the money, and look what they found. $50 million in unaudited U.S. taxpayer money in 1 month alone went to a pro-terrorist group disguised as a climate change organization. Monday, December 8, 2025. Large M7.6 earthquake plus tsunami strikes Japan after M7.0 in Alaska, major unrest. Monday, December 8, 2025. So, who cares? DeGeneres and Porsche leaving UK after ditching US over Trump. Monday, December 8, 2025. Bombshell alert, Deep State exposed. Obama-era day official indicted for laundering $12 million for terror cartels, December 8, 2025. Monday, December 8, 2025. The charges are clear: treason, sedition, and betrayal. Obama's day of reckoning is coming. Monday, December 8, 2025. Executive Order, One Rule to Lead the World. Trump declares war on bureaucracy to protect America's AI future. Monday, December 8, 2025. Just in, Edward Snowden drops digital nuke on Joe Rogan. They can control your device, your data, your life. Monday, December 8, 2025. Newsmax. Gitmo TV, a man from Somalia came to America, started a nonprofit and opened a multi-million-dollar migrant care service agency. He's getting over $5 million per year from American taxpayers, being given no-bid contracts from Maine Governor Janet Mills, and is building a military in Somalia. He has been funneling money back to Somalia to build a military in Somalia. The guy is running a migrant services agency that bills main care, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year. He said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that is a real state in Somalia, and to be clear, in Somalia, he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. Elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America, it's whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election. So he needed to buy a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support in order to win that election. Abdullahi Ali's background came to Maine founded Gateway Community Services, a migrant services non-profit. Gateway Community Services received millions in taxpayer-funded Maine care payments and no-bid contracts from Democratic Governor Janet Mills' administration. Former employees allege systematic fraudulent billing, overbilling by nearly $1 million in earlier audits. Governor Janet Mills created the Office of New Americans, whose sole employee, from Sudan, is a former Gateway Community Services staffer. Monday, December 8, 2025. Dr. Oz, you've probably heard the news by now. Minnesota fraudsters stole over $1 billion from Medicaid. And you deserve an explanation. Our staff at CMS told me they've never seen anything like this in Medicaid, and everyone from Governor Tim Walz on down needs to be investigated, because they've been asleep at the wheel. Based on what we know now, this is a clear dereliction of duty. First, the facts. In recent years, Minnesota Medicaid launched several new programs, including housing stabilization services, which help disabled homeless individuals, and early intensive developmental and behavioral intervention, which reimburse therapy costs for families with autistic children. Some bad actors in Minnesota's Somali community decided to game the system. And when they got away with it, they decided to go bigger. The housing program was supposed to cost $2.6 million annually. Last year, it paid out over $100 million. The autism program ballooned from $3 million in 2018 to nearly $400 million in 2023. These scammers use stolen taxpayer money to buy flashy cars, purchase overseas real estate, and offer kickbacks to parents who enrolled their kids at fake autism treatment centers. Some of it may have even made its way to the Somalian terrorist group Al-Shabaab. Monday, December 8, 2025. Military arrests Obama's VA secretary for treason and massive financial crimes. The deep state just took a direct hit. The United States Army CID has arrested Eric Shinseki, Obama's former Secretary of Veterans Affairs, for treason, embezzlement, money laundering, and bank fraud. At 83 years old, he was pulled from his Honolulu home after investigators confirmed he siphoned nearly $300 million from the VA during Obama's years in power. His scheme began quietly in 2012 with small transfers into Cayman Islands accounts. Within months he was moving millions through fake charities and shell companies he personally created. For over a year he drained funds meant for wounded veterans while pretending to run audits on the very accounts he robbed. The truth broke open when a dying Army lieutenant colonel confessed everything to his son in November 2025. The son avoided the corrupted DOJ and went straight to CID. A month-long review of Obama-era ledgers revealed a full-scale theft. Shinseki lived modestly, which helped hide the offshore fortune that investigators believe was intended for future political operations. On Thursday morning, CID entered his Honolulu residence with a military warrant. His caretaker tried to delay them, but agents found him in bed and took him into custody. His claim of identity theft collapsed immediately. Investigators already held signed transfers, wire trails, and dissolved entities tied directly to him. This arrest is the first crack in a much larger structure. Under Trump and Secretary Hegseth, the military purge inside the VA is accelerating. The years of denied claims, slow-roll medical care, and political weaponization are now being traced back to the same network that protected Obama. Shinseki's fall signals that the chain is breaking and more arrests are expected. The reckoning has begun. And Monday, December 8, 2025. The dossier they never expected you to read, Nizar and Jazara QFS on Telegram. They hid these programs because they were never meant to reach the public. Bluebird, Artichoke, MKUltra, Mockingbird, Paperclip, Midnight Climax. 6 covert engines that shaped the modern world while citizens lived under the illusion of freedom. These were not studies. They were weapons designed to fracture memory, hijack identity, and manufacture obedience on a national scale. Every newly opened file confirms the same truth. The government was not researching control. It was mastering it. Bluebird began the descent by testing hypnosis, chemical amnesia, and identity stripping on the most vulnerable. Artichoke pushed further, exploring how to erase free will entirely. The story is not that these programs existed. The story is that their architecture never vanished. It evolved, adapted, and moved deeper underground, waiting for a moment when the public no longer questioned who built the world they are living in. Monday, December 8, 2025 Military operational tactics exposed during the Charlie Kirk assassination, aka, the Maroon Boys. This is just another layer of the active color revolution against the United States, Dan Bongino on Telegram. Charlie Kirk's assassination appears as a professional, multinational military intelligence hit targeting Kirk's exposés on foreign meddling in conservative networks and the U.S. government. The maroon pattern unmasks a textbook domestic color revolution, executed in plain view to silence dissent. High-resolution photographs from the September 10, 2025, assassination of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University, UVU, challenge the official narrative. They depict the alleged shooter, Tyler Robinson, positioned calmly among the front-row audience in a maroon shirt, dark shorts, black cap, and backpack, identical to the attire described in media reports of a rooftop escape. No evidence supports a rooftop vantage, outfit change, or evasion through the crowd. Robinson was embedded in the spectators when the shot was fired. FBI ballistic markers on the lawn left of the stage further contradict the FBI's rooftop shooter claim, indicating a trajectory from